Gentlemen, it's now 7 p.m. I'd like to call this Conservation Commission meeting to order this evening. The meeting will be recorded and it will be available to watch on Chelmsford Telemedia as well. First item agendas, I'd like to welcome back Mr. David McLaughlin. David served on this commission 30 plus years in the past, and we're very fortunate to have him come back tonight, back on the commission again, and it's his first meeting back. So welcome back, David.
Thanks, Chris.
On the agenda, we now move on to our open session citizen concerns. Let's see, this Thanksgiving Forest Planning, is that on?
Yes, Robin is here.
Robin?
She has a presentation.
Good, excellent, excellent. So Robin, please come forward.
Holman, 38 Janet Road in Chelmsford. I am going to read the introduction that I gave to you all because it's short. I have a very short PowerPoint. The project is to reintroduce native plants to the area near the pollinator garden that was cleared of buckthorn and Norway maple last fall. The elimination of those plants left little or no understory plants in the area since they were outcompeted by invasive species, which were mostly just those two. The plan is to reintroduce plants that would very likely be there had it not been for the non-native plants. And I think the best solution is to use plants from within 150 feet of that site as ecotypes because they share soil attributes of mineral content, acidity level, microorganisms, and they are characteristic of a Thanksgiving forest. And the plan is to introduce small amounts of abundant populations that are colonizing plants that should spread and revitalize the soil. It's not planned as a garden or a landscaped area, but it's more of a slow reestablishment of indigenous plants. So the first slide is, on the left is the flagged non-native species for removal. This was done last fall. So you can see the green tape are the good ones, the orange flags are the bad ones. And I just want to point out on this left one, the orange, the two in the middle, they were conjoined trees, and one is an oak and one is a maple, Norway maple. And they were conjoined at the bottom for quite a bit, over a foot, and conjoined in the middle and also at the top where their bark, we couldn't figure out how that happened. But they were both thriving, except one is gone now. And the one on the left is my grandson who helped. He used that tree wrench, and he just thought he had a great time.
So you remove the birch or the maple?
The Norway maple, yeah. Just
Oh, okay.
It's still there, but it's gone now, except that last foot there. So we'll have to be vigilant about getting the sprouts that come out of it. But there were a lot of trees, and they were all dumped in a slash pile. I don't think you can see it in these two. There was a slash pile there. All that stuff got dumped there, huge pile, and of course now it's disappearing. Okay, next slide. Okay, the fall of 2025 on the left, you can see it. This is after all the trees, the Norway maple and the buckthorn had been removed, and it is amazingly open. And okay, on the second one, you can see the slash pile kind of in the middle of the photograph. But notice that whole area in the front, there is no vegetation there. There were no ferns, no moss, nothing. It was just, and that's because the trees, the Norway maples, were so dense, there was no light. They sucked up all the moisture, and there was nothing there. But you can see it's the background of the pollinator garden. So it's an important part of this, and it's also the path to the Thanksgiving forest is up there on the left. So it's kind of there as an important part of where the pollinator garden is. Okay, the next slide is I have a list of plants that can be transplanted, and these are all plants that, there's three sections, the ground covers, the understory low shrubs, understory mid-level shrubs, and annuals. And these are all within 150 feet. There are some that are already there. The maple leaf viburnum and the mountain laurel are already there and could not, before the invasive trees were removed, you couldn't see them. So now you can see them. I'll show you the slides that have them.
So these are all currently there?
No, the ones that are there are the maple leaf viburnum, the mountain laurel, and there's one little juniper, but most of them, I think there's one wood fern, but some of them are very nearby, and I think that, I mean, the soil would be very similar and easily transplanted, and what would probably normally be there anyway.
So do you have plans to do the transplanting?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
So I've already picked out where these species are, and they're abundant colonies. If something is removed, you would never know it. And the idea is that they would be small transplants that would grow. There's already partridge berry on the upper part, on the slope part. The flat part, there's nothing. But the upper part has most of these, except the Pipsissewa, but that's in another area nearby. Mostly blueberries and mostly junipers, I think, would be the best ones to move because they're just great for the soil and easy to transplant. And we have some annuals, which is jewelweed, and that is, there's a lot of that in an adjacent area, so we've saved seeds. Okay, next slide. It is a rough diagram. You can see it's kind of it's a semicircle shape, and there's up at the top is where the slash is. You can see the big slash pile there. So I've just added in the brown circles are where the trees are, and so you can see where there will be additions. So it's not going to be completely filled in, but the idea is that these are like starter plants. And you can see at the top, behind the slash, is where the mountain laurel and the viburnum currently are. And the slide on the right is actually one of my favorites, partridge berry, and there's lots of it in the woods. You almost don't notice it because it's so tiny, but it's a great addition to a woodland garden. Evergreen. Next slide is the one on the left is wood fern, and that also there's plenty of colonies of that around. None right there now, but that's easy to move. It's also evergreen and extremely hardy. The one on the right is dewberry, Rubus hispida, and that is also very common. It is evergreen. It turns reddish brown in the winter, but it's another great ground cover. Next slide. Next slide. On the left is Pipsissewa, which is a very common ground cover, Chimaphila umbellata, and it is evergreen. And it's a little harder to transplant because its relationship with the soil, it needs to have plenty of soil, but there are lots of colonies around. And the one on the right, there are not a lot of these, but there's enough so that I think it's worth moving a small one, and that's hazelnut. You can see the catkins, those are the male catkins that are coming down, so that's how you can recognize it. Those are great shrubs, great for wildlife and visual interest. They're just a good sturdy tree. Actually, it's a taller shrub. Next slide. On the left is the lower part is where the slash pile is, and the mountain laurel is evergreen, and you can see it a little bit. The green tree in the back is a hemlock. So there's lots of mountain laurel in there. Of course, we didn't know this until most of the trees were gone. So that was a great find. And the one on the right is this tiny little juniper that I found on the corner. But there's lots of those around, and those are great ground covers because they're great for stabilizing soil. And next slide. Jewelweed. There's lots of that too, and the best way to get them going is to save seeds, which we have. and plant those. And they're wonderful. Hummingbirds, bees, they're just wonderful plants. And on the right is a close-up of the mountain laurel that's already there. And it's actually, I mean, it's evergreen, but it had rained, so it's kind of shiny. But it's a nice, healthy colony.
So the jewelweed is also called touch-me-nots, right?
Yeah. They're great plants. They're great. I mean, a lot of people say jewel weed, it's a weed. But for a pollinator garden, it's ideal. They're easily, if they get out of hand, they're easy to control, but they're just a great addition. So mountain laurel's on the right. Next slide, this is the last slide. This has got to be my favorite. What a surprise. This is a blueberry. It's called upland blueberry, Vaccinium pallidum, and it has green stems, and they are really, in the fall and the winter, they are really striking because they form these colonies, and they're great. I don't know if they have berries that we could ever eat, but I know that animals eat them, but there are lots of those, and I think there would be a great addition. And on the right is maple leaf viburnum, and there already is a healthy colony there. And I think and it's on the slope, and so that wasn't in the area where all the invasives were taken. You can see in the corner there's some Mianthemum and starflower, so there's already plenty of wildflowers in that area. It's just in the flat part. So that's the plan. So really all I need is approval to go ahead and do it.
Great, Robin. We appreciate the overview of the plan. Appreciate your hard work. Do anybody have a quick comment or a question before we take a quick vote? Peter, yeah.
Just to clarify, I know you touched on this. These are all native plants one would expect in our watershed or are already there.
Exactly.
I think maybe the key,
that was
to me, the takeaway.
That was key, is that I didn't want to go out and buy things from, from a nursery, even if it's a good one, because you always run the chance of getting something in the soil. I have gotten plants from a reputable nursery, and out pops Japanese knotweed. And you have jumping worms, all of these. So the idea is to don't mess with the soil, keep it as it is, and use only plants that are from that area.
Right, and I'll just mention, I like to use the word eco-restoration, which I think what the experts use, but it's restoring what used to be there.
Yeah.
So that's great, thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Dave, question, comment?
There used to be a lot of human activity down towards Mill Pond. I'm sure that's restricted now, somehow? From the parking lot down? No?
Parking lot.
Am I in the wrong?
No,
I was looking at a couple of your pictures.
You're right.
I mean, there's definitely a foot traffic. The places.
Yes. Are you going to have to restrict the foot traffic in
No.
order
Nope,
to have your
that was-
pollinator garden take effect?
The pollinator garden has this wonderful, awesome fence. This area is
Right.
not fenced, and there are people that walk through there. There are a lot of dogs, and I was aware of that when I was thinking about how things get planted. But all of these plants can handle that.
Are you going to have to actively water them?
Yes, I will do that.
Yeah, because we
Right.
might get a drought this summer.
Absolutely. They will have to, it's like all the pollinator garden and all the trees that were planted, those were watered every day.
Good,
It's great, yeah.
good. Can we have a motion then to approve this plantings plan?
I,
I make a motion to approve the plan brought before us.
Excellent. Mark on the motion, seconded by Peter?
John?
John?
Excellent presentation.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None unanimous. Thank you very much, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Karen. Next on tonight's agenda is the report from our Planning Board liaison to the Conservation Commission, Mr. Chris LaValle. Chris, you have the podium.
Good evening. Chris LaValle, Chair of the Planning Board. Our last meeting was April 8th, where we had a joint meeting of the Finance Committee and Planning Board to vote on recommendations for a revised lighting bylaw that we'll be presenting at town meeting this coming 2 weeks. We made some slight adjustments based on the Finance Committee recommendations, so that'll be before town meeting. We had a Pine Hill Road subdivision come before us, and we continued working on our zoning bylaw changes for the next town meeting. We have no second meeting in April because of town meeting this month, so our next planning board meeting is going to be May 13th. We don't have an agenda set yet, but we expect to continue our zoning bylaw drafting for the next town meeting. We will likely start discussing the Riverneck rezoning to address zoning conflicts in that area. And then we will, I believe, will likely be opening our public hearing for Lady Slipper Lane as well. So that's all I've got.
Thanks, Chris. Any questions from the commissioners? Thanks, Chris.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, so that takes us through our open session, unless there's some sort of a citizen concern right now that someone wants to raise before we head into the regulatory matters. If there's something that's not on the agenda tonight that you want to come up and speak to us briefly about, we'd entertain that now. Okay, so moving on then to our regulatory section, and we do have a lot of matters and items scheduled for this evening's meeting. But let's get right into it. So the first item under regulatory hearings is a notice of intent filing. Ms. Donna Coolis, with respect to 9 Lady Slipper Lane. We'll have a legal notice that we'll have to read into the record, and then we'll have a presentation from the applicants. Will give us the commission an overview of the work that's being proposed. We'll then have questions from the commissioners, and then because it's a public hearing, we'll then open it up to members of the public who may be able to come up to the podium, state your name and address, and we'll entertain public input as well too. So I see, let's just do our legal notice, and then we'll go to Attorney Hausler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, the Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing in Room 204 at the Chelmsford Town Offices, 50 Billerica Road, on Tuesday, April 14th, 2026, at 7 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by property owner Donna Coolis for proposed work within a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at 9 Lady Slipper Lane, further identified in Assessor's Map 91, Block 344, Lot 9. The project entails construction of 2 single-family homes and 1 accessory dwelling unit with associated driveway exit and improvements to Chestnut Lane. Land clearing, grading, landscaping, and installation of utilities and rooftop drainage infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. And now we'll hear from Attorney Hausler. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members, for your time tonight. For the record, Douglas Hausler, representing Donna Coolis, who's the owner of the property at 9 Lady Slipper Lane. 9 Lady Slipper Lane is being proposed to be subdivided into 2 lots that will have 2 single-family homes. They are shown on the plans that have been submitted to you as lots 2 and 3. They're to the rear of the existing home on 9 Lady Slipper Lane. It has nothing to do with the Coolis Farm property itself that the town purchased. I think some people were concerned that somehow Donna's name is associated with the farm project that the town bought, and this is away from that. We have submitted plans that were prepared by Haley Ward. I have Brian Malisi with me this evening, who did those plans. And we had wetland delineations done by Goddard Consulting. And we've submitted all their findings and reports. Talking about the properties, Lot 1 is the existing home. The new 2 lots, Lot 2 will contain 1.29 acres of land, of which 38,000 plus square feet are upland. Lot 3 has 2.37 acres of land and over 50,000 square feet of upland. So Lot 3 will have the accessory dwelling unit on that. The access and the frontage will be coming through Chestnut Hill Lane, which is a private paper street off Cantor Road. The paper street shows frontage off Cantor Road of about 110 linear feet and is more than sufficient under the town's zoning bylaws. We have plenty of frontage. So we're here tonight really to talk just about the notice of intent and asking for an order of conditions to allow work to be performed within the 100-foot buffer. We're respecting the 50-foot buffer entirely. The plan delineates that both the 50-foot no disturb area and the 100 buffer line. As I mentioned in our submittal to you, this land was subject to a prior subdivision, which became known as Lady Slipper Lane, 27 years ago. And there was a fair amount of work done, and I worked on that at the time. And then this commission, at that point in time, reviewed it, did a site walk, and eventually did not issue or allowed construction to take place, issued a standard order of conditions with certain terms, and the subdivision grew out naturally. And we think this is actually a lot simpler, quite frankly. This meets almost every element of our zoning bylaw. We're being very consistent with not trying to disturb the land within the 50-foot no disturb area. I would like to, if I could, I'm going to ask Brian Malisi to actually detail for you what he has drafted on the plans to get specific about the drainage and other elements of stormwater. He will also identify to you, these lots have already been previously perked, so we can put septic systems in. So that the soil testing was done for that. My understanding is there's a site walk scheduled for 1:00 p.m. on Thursday, and we'll be welcoming you to participate in that. And I think you'll see for yourself that this is a pretty standard 2-lot subdivision without much, it should be of relatively little significance for the Conservation Commission, and quite frankly, the Planning Board. It's pretty standard. We did send out the notices that were required. I have not gotten a lot of the green cards back, but I will bring them over to David in the morning. Whatever we do have, I don't think it's many, have been returned to us, but I have proof of the mailing to all the abutters. It was a total of about 25 abutters plus 6 towns that were involved. If I could have Brian kind of go through the details of the specifics of the engineering, and then we'll be happy to answer questions of the commission.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. For the record, Brian Malisi with Haley Ward Incorporated. We're the civil engineer for the project. As Attorney Hauser said, we have in front of us is a 3-lot subdivision. One's an existing house. There's really no work to be done there except for creating a property line. So there's a 2-lot subdivision being accessed off of Chestnut Hill Lane, accessing from Cantor Road. The roadway, which is really a glorified common driveway for the 2 lots, is proposed to be a 22-foot wide gravel road. We do have a paved apron at Cantor Road, just for some turning movements and whatnot. Fire lanes are typically 20-foot wide. We went 2 foot wider, such that the fire department will be able to access the roadway. You'll see at the end of the road, it's about little over 900 feet long, about 922 feet long from the edge of the right-of-way at Cantor Road up to the end. We have a T turnaround, which is consistent dimensionally speaking with subdivision regulations, such that the fire department could come in and turn around at the end of that. The turnaround itself is encompassed in an easement encumbering the 2 lots. It kind of goes right down the middle of one of the proposed lot lines. As Attorney Hausler said, and as this commission's probably well aware of, there's a moratorium on the sanitary sewer in town. So we went and took the liberty of applying for and performing percolation and deep hole testings on the lots to make sure we could get septic system designs outside the 100-foot buffer zone, which is required by the town of Chelmsford. The locations of the perk and deep hole tests are shown on the plan. The results of those testings are shown on one of the later sheets during the plan. While there's not a lot of specific information on the septic systems themselves, we do show where the primary area and the reserve area would be laid out. Typically what happens is, following at least some initial feedback from both this commission and the planning board, we would go ahead and design those septic systems and put them into the Board of Health for permitting. Just in case a lot line were to change, or something were to happen, or a house location were to shift, we don't want to have to go back and redesign those. But the areas themselves, I can sit there and tell you, I laid them out myself. They work according to Title V and the Town of Chelmsford Board of Health bylaw. Stormwater, we kind of hopefully took a page from the LID, Low Impact Development page. And stormwater is right now proposed to be handled by a infiltration swale on one side of the driveway. The driveway, you'll notice in the plans, we super elevate or slope the driveway itself to one side.
You recall what sheet that is, Brian?
So there's 2 layout sheets, there's 2 site and grading sheets, and there's 2 utility sheets. And so it's probably, oh, we're going to go now. One more. So this would be the layout plan. It's just that gray area shows you the location of the driveway itself, the house locations. And if you want to just go to the other end of that page, David, right there is that T turnaround that I spoke about. We'll go one more, maybe.
So the next one is the drainage?
The next one should be the site and grading plan. Nope, so we've got one more.
Okay.
Try to fit everything to scale on this thing, so it's, yep, right there. So you'll see that the roadway cross slopes or cross pitches to the, I believe it's gonna be the westerly side, or the downhill side towards the wetlands. It is an infiltration swale trench that will collect any of the stormwater coming off of that driveway. You'll see those kind of rectangle areas. Those are the deep hole tests that were done on the lots. We need to do 2 in the reserve, 2 in the primary. So you'll see there's 4 tests done on each lot. That's where the soil testing was done for the septic designs. So the septic systems have to be at least 100 feet away from the wetlands, which they are. The houses or the structures are outside that 50-foot zone, and some of the return grading behind the houses goes up to the 30-foot no disturb zone. Other than that, we don't have any impact or any alteration to the wetland areas that are on site. What else? There's a couple of pages of an erosion and sedimentation control plan, which is typical on a project like this. We show hay bales, we show some stockpile areas during construction. We provided a proposed tree line on the plan to show the limit of tree clearing for both the roadway and the lot construction. We conducted a cut fill analysis. I kind of did it in 2 different ways. I did just the roadway, and then I included the fill that would be required for the house construction. The lots kind of slope away from where the roadway is proposed. We've designed this as both lots are gravity systems, so there is a little bit of fill going on in front of the houses. So for the roadway itself, we have a cut of about 200 yards, and really that's, we tried to mimic the existing ground out there, so we're not doing a whole lot of earthwork for the roadway. And so most of that cut will be removed and then replaced with good gravel material. When we get in front of the planning board, we would fully expect a letter from the fire department saying that that gravel roadway has to meet the standard of their fire apparatus, and we can certainly do that. Taking into account the construction on the houses, it's about a 5,000 yard fill. A lot of that would be septic sand and whatnot in order to meet Title V standards for the septic systems. We are proposing to bring a water line up that roadway. Talked to the water department. We are proposing a 6-inch water main, which will dead end beyond the T turnaround with a driveway. We're going to terminate with a fire hydrant to aid in, obviously, in firefighting and also for water quality issues that could be utilized to flush the water main from time to time to keep the water quality going. And so the water services will be taken off of that main. I did talk to the water department. I don't believe we have any negative comments coming from them, but that'll happen during the planning board process. Chestnut Hill Lane is a paver street, unimproved way, and we propose to improve it with the methods I just talked about. I probably forgotten more than I should have told you, but I'll throw it back to the commission for any questions. We'll certainly answer them as best we can.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks.
Just to give it a little bit of local flavor of this, these properties are not being put on the market for sale. Both are going to go to the sons of Donna Koulis and Doug Kalenda. They have two sons, and this has been their lifetime dream, along with their grandfather's lifetime dream. They're hopeful to have a fourth generation of Koulis family members living on this property that has been farmed by them previously for over 100 years. So, you know, it's true local people using their land as it's intended to be used, trying to be as really consistent with all of the intent and spirit of your commission's bylaws as well as the planning board's bylaws. We'll be happy to take any questions that you have, and we'll be happy to listen to any concerns or questions by the neighbors, and kind of regroup from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Hosler, and welcome, Mrs. Koulis, as well.
I would just like to say a few things. I was born in Chelmsford.
And Mrs. Koulis, if you could address the commission.
Yes,
up
I'm sorry.
here, please.
I was born in Chelmsford in 1960. I lived in Chelmsford, went to Chelmsford High School, graduated, moved away with my husband for a short period of time and came back. We lived at Lady Slipper Lane. I'd go see my mother and father all the time when they lived at 185 Pine Hill Road. My boys are both living in Chelmsford in an apartment. They love the farm. They want to respect my dad. They really want to live in these houses. And we respect the land. We would not do anything that we cannot do. It's just, it would be an incredible family opportunity for all of us to be together. I just want to say that so that you can have a face to the name and see, we're not doing this for money at all. We're doing this for family. I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Koulis, you gotta-
We're doing this.
gotta
For,
word
I'm
with
so
the
sorry.
microphone to
We're
the
doing this for
commission.
family. We're doing it to keep the family together. And I really want people to see the face and the family behind it.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Koulis.
Thank you.
We appreciate that, and the Koulis family has a wonderful reputation in the town, I may
Thank
say.
you.
So at this.
One last piece.
Oh, yeah, Mr. House.
Just to follow up on Donna's
Yeah.
comments. The ADU that's being proposed is actually for Doug and for Donna. So they're going to be living next door to their both sons and eventually selling their home. So it is a true family plan here. Just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Attorney Hosler. All right, so we've had our presentation to the commission at this point, and we appreciate it. So the next phase is we're going to have the commissioners ask some questions, make some comments. We'll move down the line of commissioners. The focus of the Chelmsford Conservation Commission, and I want to highlight that right now, it's quite different than, say, the planning board. When we have a planning board hearing later in May, the focus will be on, traffic, impact, visual barriers for the neighborhood. There's a lot of other issues. Our focus as Chelmsford Conservation Commission is really environmental issues, wetland, the animal habitat, the nature aspects of it. We look at the flood, potential flooding is something of concern for us. But we've got a focus really that really is around our regulations, and that's the authority we have in how we make our decisions at the end of the hearing. So with that background, we're going to go to John. Commissioner John is going to give us any comments or questions at this point, John?
No, I appreciate you've kept everything out of the 50-foot no build. Septic systems, everything's out of the 50-foot no build. Looking at this, and what strikes me is, I know what family's all about. I've done the same thing in town over the years, several years ago, and this is what it is. If your kids want to live here, some chose to live here, some don't. But I appreciate what Donna's doing. With everything I'm looking at right now, I'm not going to start talking about how many trees you're going to cut and everything else, because when you build a house, you got to cut trees. You got to put stuff back. You got to landscape it right. No, I'm really good with this.
Thanks, John. Thank you. Moving on to Bill.
Yep. So you're not looking for, Brian, you're not looking for any waivers at all?
No waivers from the Conservation Commission. We have a list of waivers from the planning board or the subdivision regulations.
Right, but nothing from us.
Nothing from.
Right.
there's a well on the house across the street. Is that far enough away from you? Is that this reserve septic?
Yep, so you'll see we provided a 100-foot radius around that existing well. Title V regulations require the septic systems to be at least 100 feet away from that. So that's why we showed the well, we showed the radius, and showed where the primary and the reserve would be, to show that we would be outside of that.
So it's outside, is the reserve closest to that well?
I'd
Or is
have to
that-
look at the plan, I
yeah.
do believe so, I do believe.
But you're outside of
Yeah,
that?
exactly, yeah.
Okay. When was that flagged?
I want to say April of
Yep.
2025.
Last year?
Last year, I believe.
Okay, okay. I know we're doing a site walk, and where Lady Slipper ends and the main house is on Lot 1 right now, is the wetlands so close to that you couldn't put the driveway off of Lady Slipper?
Yeah,
You'd have to
so-
go the other way, right?
Yeah, good question. So one of the first concepts, I guess, that we did look at was trying to extend Lady Slipper Lane, in which to create frontage for the two new lots. Between where the wetland edge is, how the existing house sits on the lot, and having to create front yard offsets off of that, and then trying to kind of get that driveway or that roadway up through. It just, we weren't able to achieve that, especially with trying to keep out of the 30-foot no-touch zones and things like that.
So the wetlands, the existing wetlands right there is kind of forbids that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we're going to do a site walk, I guess, Thursday.
Thursday at 1 is scheduled,
Thursday
yes.
one. So I've already walked it. I used to live up there, so I know the land. The lane goes down to Cantor Road. Maybe this doesn't, there's no way to go out the other way on that existing lane? There's a reason why you've gone the way you've
The
gone.
reason would be length. It would be longer that way. Once you get out to Pine Hill Road, the site distance is kind of prohibitive out that
Right,
way.
yeah.
There's a little bit more traffic on Pine Hill Road than would be on Cantor. And so just talking about some of those issues, we decided to try to present the project like this and to exit out onto Cantor.
Okay.
And aren't there a couple of driveways that use that part of?
There
That's
are.
right.
There's a gate across, and someone's going to throw something at me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's a gate or a chained gate across the driveway down off of Pine Hill Road. But the last two houses on, I guess they front on Thomas Drive, have gravel driveway access to those coming up through the other way.
Right. Is there any, just talking about the wetlands now, behind the houses, is there anything you're gonna add to that area to enhance the wetlands at all? Have you put any thought into more plantings or anything?
We haven't provided a landscape plan for the houses yet.
Yeah,
I'm not a landscape architect, I never claimed to be, but I simply show a proposed tree line at the limits of the house and the fill back there. But we could certainly take that under advisement and see if there's something that we could provide.
yeah. No, I don't see any real issues with it, to be honest with you. But I just had those questions, they really aren't conservation questions, but I'm all set, Chris.
All right, Bill, moving on to Mark.
Yeah, isn't the town kind of cracking down and getting rid of all the private septic systems that they want you to tie over? I think, isn't the Mill Stream property being forced to go with sewage as opposed to a septic system? Can you explain why you're putting in septic systems on these properties?
I mean, very simply, I'm under the understanding there's a moratorium, and that any new construction cannot tie into the sanitary system. Now,
All right.
with that being said, there is sanitary sewer down at Cantor Road. The way the land is sloped, the way that the topography works, we could very simply put in a sanitary sewer system into that. I was under the impression that we cannot tie in, any new residential construction cannot tie into the sanitary
okay.
sewer. And so we were, I won't say we were forced, nothing's forcing us, but we had to go the septic route.
Okay. The septic systems you're showing here, that's the expansion and that's the primary systems on this, on page 5?
Yep.
And you said the soils are not very good there? You said you're bringing like 5,000 yards of material, is it, did you say that?
Nope, well, that has nothing to do with the soil type. That has to do with how we've decided to grade the lots.
Oh, I thought it was
So-
for the septic,
Nope.
I'm sorry, okay.
So that gravity flow to the septic. It's one of the issues where, you know, if the land slopes this way, in order to meet breakout and for the Title V systems, I have to kind of fill this way. So there's a bit of a fill against the foundations in the house there. But so that's where a lot of that fill comes from. The soils were typical. I think we had 11-minute rates, which is just fine for septic systems. I think estimated seasonal high water tables were down around 60 inches, 5 feet. So again, conducive to, you know, Title V systems.
Okay.
I should say that testing is witnessed by the Chelmsford Board of Health. It's not the Board of Health themselves, but they utilize a third party to come out and watch us do those tests, and that was certainly done, so everything was done according to rules, regulations, and above board.
I took a walk up there myself and I saw the land does kind of slope off towards that wetland area there. You don't suspect any problem with phosphorus coming from the septic system with the wash machine? I don't want to see anything go down towards the wetland area.
Nope.
Okay.
I could bore you to tears with some of the Board of Health regulations. Both houses have been, are proposed right now to be 4-bedroom homes. There's an ADU on one of the lots, which would create another bedroom, so 5 bedrooms. So both those systems on both lots have been designed as 5-bedroom systems. So you could actually put an ADU on the other one if you really wanted to, if it stayed a 4-bedroom home. From a nitrogen loading standpoint, I need at least 50,000 square feet of lot area to accommodate a 5-bedroom home. You'll see with the lot areas, they're both above that. So again, we meet that nitrogen loading limitation
Yeah.
from Title V.
Okay. My last question really is mostly water department. They're okay with putting a 6-inch line up there, dead ending it?
So there's an 8-inch encanter,
Yeah?
so providing a 6-inch line, we, you know, take advantage of a little bit of more pressure within that 6-inch line. And I did talk to him about the dead ending, and he says for 2 houses, it's gonna be plenty. He said the homeowners should be aware that they could get some discolored water
Right.
because of the lack of kind of a flow through a 6-inch line. But that's why we have the hydrant at the dead end, so that to flush that every now and then if they start to get discolored water.
Okay, I'm good.
Thanks, Mark. Dave?
There are 3 buildings, not 2?
Proposed.
There are 3 buildings?
Proposed, yes. There's
So
a,
what's the accessory building for?
it's an accessory dwelling unit.
Is it, so it's a house?
It's a 1-bedroom.
But is there a reason you call it accessory rather than,
Everybody calls it an ADU nowadays. It's accessory dwelling unit.
so that's the ADU?
ADU,
The other
accessory.
2 are not?
The other 2 are single-family homes, and then 1 ADU, just to kind of,
What's the elevation on the west side compared to the elevation of Chestnut?
so Chestnut Hill Lane,
The elevation to the west
yep,
as compared to Chestnut Hill Lane,
to the west of,
of Chestnut Hill Lane.
the elevation is, it cross slopes, it's probably goes, how do I explain it? Can I go?
Yeah, show the map. Yeah, go up to the plan, please.
How many feet? Does it slope or not?
From here to here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it slopes, it goes from about
That-
260 to about 250. So, in this spot right here is about a 10-foot
Okay.
difference.
And what,
Fairly flat to the front of the house, again, to accommodate that septic system, and then like a walkout house, if you could envision a walkout house.
okay,
it would
just
drop
bear
behind
with
the
me.
house.
So what's the elevation on the other side of Chestnut?
We match grades, so 260, 258, 256.
Okay, so the site slopes from the up down to Chestnut.
No, slopes the other way. It slopes from Chestnut down to the left.
Okay. How about going down to Pine Hill? The end of Lady Slipper is higher than the end of down where Lady Slipper starts,
Lady
correct?
Slipper would be lower than this elevation here.
So the house at the end of Lady Slipper is gonna be lower than the proposed houses? Or higher?
Go to the next,
Next
I
sheet.
have to forget which way it is, but, yeah, it is, so. That's the existing building.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Lady Slipper Lane,
and that's higher than the beginning of Lady Slipper, correct?
slightly higher, 258,
Slightly higher?
258,
From the beginning of Lady Slipper.
Yeah, you gotta go way to the left.
here.
That's the end of Lady
Driveway,
Slipper.
driveway raises about 6 feet. in
No,
elevation.
all the way to the beginning of Lady Slipper.
All the way to the beginning
Yeah.
of Lady Slipper? I don't know that answer. I
Oh,
would have
okay,
to look that
that's
up. I
fine.
apologize.
No, it's all right, you can just say you don't know, that's okay.
Driving that roadway, I think it's fairly flat, but I don't think there's a huge elevation difference, but I can get that information.
Mark, or someone brought up the point about the edge of the wetlands and how we make sure there be no activity back there after the houses are constructed, because they're not gonna be big backyards. So, one thing to consider is what we always have done in the past, which is some demarcation of where the wetland line is, either with boulders or with shrubs or trees or fence or something. Because what we don't want is somebody mowing on the big property and then dumping all the refuse into the wetlands to get it off the site, okay? That's all I had. Chris?
Thanks, Dave. Ally? Be good. Mr. Spahn?
Yeah, a couple quick things. Regarding the septic, this commission has a statutory obligation to prevent groundwater pollution, but the real reg is with our Board of Health and our town DPW. So I was under the impression that our DPW is running, I call it a sewer capacity bank. But I'm a little bit out of my depth here, so I just want to throw that out on the table, and probably not a big issue for this commission. Second question, tell me about construction impacts to the 50-foot no-build zone from the wetlands. In other words, the plan, you mentioned the intent of the plan is to respect at least the first 50 feet of the wetland buffer, which is, what we allow. We allow building and, My question is, how much construction impact is there in either the 30-foot no disturb, help me with my numbers, David, or the 50-foot no build?
50-foot no build, 30-foot no impervious, 25-foot no disturb.
Thank you.
So we have zero impact from 0 to 30. So the limit of our grading stops at the 30-foot.
Okay.
We have no structures, no impervious area, if you will, no rooftop. All of that is outside the 50-foot zone. So I don't have exact numbers for that. I can get those for you.
But
the-
construction, construction would be up to 30 feet from the wetland, running equipment and stockpiles and whatnot.
Yeah. Typically what we call for on the erosion control plans is a erosion control barrier. And that barrier also becomes the limit of work.
Yeah, that's on the drawing, but
Yep.
it's needed. Okay, and then quickly, I personally, like Bill said, would be interested in a landscape plan. It looks like you're doing a good job of staying out of the important stuff, but nonetheless, it is still a wetland. And, we talk about shrubs or a fence to delineate it, or, if the owners were willing to put up a line of native shrubs, for example, like we heard about at the beginning of this hearing, in a landscape plan and minimize lawn to the extent you can. I know you're close. I'd find that helpful. And then just quickly, last question. The infiltration swale, is that grass? Is that lawn on the bottom?
We
It's not
have
a
it,
rain garden, right? It's more
no,
of
we have it lined with crushed stone, just to
okay.
kind of create more of a
Okay, I'll
infiltrative barrier, but yeah, there's a detail on that.
I'll figure that out when I get my magnifying glass out. Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Just a second.
The big set if you want.
Right.
No, it's me.
Can I say one?
Yeah, I think Bill's got something.
All your gutters and stuff are going into the ground? Nothing's going over land?
Attorney Hausler,
We
something?
have our wetland scientist with us who can address the board, and he has other specific comments after listening to
All
what
right.
you just asked about.
So let's just go to our conservation agent, Mr. Coons, first, and then we'll go that direction. But that's good to know. Mr. Coons?
Before we do that, Bill, are you finished?
Yes, I am.
So all the roof runoff is gonna go into rain gardens or into the ground or what?
Well, I was going to ask about that.
Oh, go ahead, David, pick it up.
So, if I can have the floor?
You have the
Thank you,
floor.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first thing I would say is that in a couple of locations, these proposed buildings go right up to the 50-foot no-build zone. And if the commission recalls a recent filing where we saw the same thing, and because it came so close to the 50-foot no disturb, the commission wanted a peer review of the wetland delineation. So I would recommend the same thing in this case. Get an independent peer review. The next thing I wanted to talk a little bit more about the drainage, both of the proposed road or the proposed road improvements and the structures. So Brian, the way the plan shows is that in terms of just the grading, the flow is going, the stormwater runoff flow is going toward the swale here, right? And then once it gets to the swale, where does it go? It flows down this way toward
Goes
Cantor.
into the ground. I mean, I did provide a profile, a roadway profiles. It's between 1.5% and 2.5%. So the actual grade of that roadway is fairly gentle.
Yeah.
And it's just going to go down and it's going to infiltrate into the ground. Yep.
So it looks like here's the low point.
That is a localized low point, correct. High
So
point.
is there much concentration of the flow in this location that then goes into that swale?
No. I mean, I can provide some numbers to that, but no, we end up, again, intercepting everything upstream into that swale, and there's just there's a fairly minor part of the roadway that goes into that part, but yep.
So I think you said the swale, so the road is gravel.
The road is.
So what percentage just infiltrates? I mean, so that presumably means it's pervious, at least to some extent.
Yep.
So what percentage then infiltrates subsurface, just because by virtue of being gravelled?
Yeah, I mean, a gravel driveway, gravel roadway is considered to be a pervious surface. It's not like a pavement where you get 98% of runoff. I think with this type of soil out here, it's probably 92 to 95% runoff, so you get a little bit of that credit. And again, going into that infiltrative or swale lid technique, so we don't have to provide large detention basins like you guys are used to, or large recharge areas. We're taking advantage of the fairly low grade of the roadway, along with that swale.
So what size storm is this intended to operate up to?
25.
So what happens after 25?
It would overflow. It would go, onto the applicant's property. And
So none goes on to the abutter's property, none goes into Cantor.
it's a
Okay,
very, very small, I mean, I mentioned that there's a paved apron going on onto Cantor, just for turning movements and whatnot, so there'd be a very small amount of runoff from that paved apron that would enter into the Cantor Road stormwater system.
okay. And I believe that's a planning board regulation as well, that there's not supposed to be any increase in runoff off the property, right, for up to the 100-year storm. Correct. So yeah, going to the runoff from the roofs. So I think as a general policy that the commission likes to see some sort of management of that. I think most often it's some sort of subsurface infiltration system. Seeing that, I would say we've seen that probably in 9 out of the 10 last filings. Is that something you can do here? I mean, I know these systems
we
are
can have
pretty
those.
cheap as long as the groundwater is low enough.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it would be good to revise the plans to show that. Now, on one of these sheets, it shows, it shows, I think, water lines, where it says PWS, public water supply lines.
Nope. So what I tried to differentiate, PW is proposed water line,
Okay,
PWS proposed water service.
okay,
So you have the main, 6-inch main,
yeah,
and a 1-inch service going to the house.
okay.
So it's not a public water supply in any way, shape, or form. It's a proposed water service.
Okay, so anyway, and again, I forget what sheet it's on. I saw the two lines, I saw two lines going in each one of the houses, but I saw no line going into the ADU. Is that because then?
Nope. If there's no line going in the ADU, that's on me, because it would be,
well,
would be a service, so nope, I will,
Okay,
I will add that.
if you could double check that.
would definitely do that.
So I was thinking, well,
will
maybe
have-
because it's an ADU, the water line is coming from one of the houses, you didn't have to show it.
My bad, I will,
Okay.
there will be plumbing in the ADU, so I will show
Okay.
water service, I
Okay.
apologize.
So I think the last thing I have to say is, and I think we'll probably hear more about this from the neighbors, I'm hearing a lot of anecdotal evidence that there are a lot of frogs out there. So that always says to me, maybe a vernal pool, or vernal pools. Now, there are no certified or potential vernal pools shown on the plan. But I guess what I would suggest to the commission is that, when I go out and do the site visit, if I feel at that time that, there's sufficient evidence to indicate the presence of a vernal pool, and the commission has made a decision, hopefully tonight, to do the peer review of the wetland delineation, maybe to add that into the scope of that review, have the commission's consultant go out and then make an assessment of whether there's a vernal pool out there with some kind of at least a rough location of where it's located. Because if there is a vernal pool or vernal pools out there, then of course a lot of the upland habitat is going to be lost for this particular project with all the tree clearing that's being done. And there are extra protections for that habitat in the wetland bylaw, the town's wetland bylaw. So, that's, if the commission could give me that authority to then include that in the scope of the review, I think that would be the right way to address it.
Thank you, David. Appreciate your input. Do we have any other questions, comments from the commission before we turn to the public and get some?
Go to wetlands guy.
I tell you, well, we gotta talk to the wetlands guy.
We do, but we also have to talk to the public too.
Yeah, but we gotta talk to the wetlands
Well,
guy
listen,
so he can tell us.
Yeah, but I'm running the meeting, buddy, okay?
Oh, okay.
All right? We're not gonna shortchange anybody today, okay? But, I'm the chairman, and I kind of dictate who takes the podium.
I understand.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, John.
Hi to the commission. My name.
Let's, look, let me just set the context for folks, okay? We're gonna finish our overview presentation. It's the commissioners, and then what we're gonna do is then turn to the public. And again, we got a lot of people here. We wanna give people a chance. We want to hear some input from the public. So we're not gonna forget people out there. So, sir, your name and position for us.
Hi, my name is Anthony G. I'm a wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting. I'm the one who performed the delineation on site. Just to kind of nip something in the bud, on the nearest potential vernal pool on site is over 500 feet away, across Lady Slipper Lane, down off-site, probably separated by 5 different properties. The other one is over 1,200 feet away, so there's no mapped potential vernal pools or certified vernal pools on site. The only portion of the site that holds water, as we saw during my delineation, which was conducted in August of 2025, correction that had to be made, was within the area of delineated bank. And as per the Wetlands Protection Act, vernal pools cannot occur within bank. So even if wood frogs do hold some area of that portion for breeding habitat, it cannot legally be determined as a vernal pool under the Wetlands Protection Act in that definition. As for the nature of the wetland itself, it's a swamp. It's a maple swamp for the vast majority of it, scrub shrubby, and with a established understory for the first portion of delineation. The back half is there's a lot of defined topo throughout each, with the wetlands occurring at the toe of that wetland, or the toe of that hill. With that in mind, something that we noted is that the potential for rain gardens was something that was really noted within the commission. If that's something that the commission is really keen on, I'm sure we'd be happy to implement that into the landscaping plan as well. As far as the site visit on Thursday, I would be very, very happy to accompany and answer any questions on delineation that the commission may have, or the agent may have at that time, to hopefully maybe avoid the need for peer review if that may be required.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Chris, are we in the process of validating a vernal pool on the Goulas Conservation Land?
Not yet, not
Do
yet.
we have a group that is gonna do it, or that's
Not
just
yet.
an act, just something to do?
Something to do.
Okay.
Okay. All right, commissioners, any follow-up questions, particularly to our wetlands specialist? David, anything you want to address right now? or-
Yeah, I can respond, to that certainly quickly. So just because it's not shown, there are no potential vernal pools or certified vernal pools showed on Mass Mapper, which I think is what you're referring to, right? That does not necessarily mean there are none out there. It's really by field
Certainly not when it
observation.
pertains to Chelmsford.
Sorry.
Okay.
Certainly not when it pertains to Chelmsford.
Yeah, there's also the issue of the bylaw in town is that not necessarily, the same criteria as under the Wetlands Protection Act. So it's a matter of going out and actually doing some field observations, ultimately.
All right, good. Attorney Hausler, anything from the applicants at this point?
Happy to hear from the public.
All right, good, excellent, good. So, ladies and gentlemen, from the public, if you could just come up one at a time to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. And again, I just would caution everyone, let's try to stay to conservation-type issues. Look at the wetlands, habitat, flooding, things of that nature. Stay away from like the planning board type things will be handled when the planning board opens up. So, sir, you got the podium.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Wayne Daigle. I live directly behind the proposed project at 21 Amble Road, down the hill from that proposed project. I know that was a point of inquiry earlier. I've submitted a letter of opposition with specifics to support my concerns and my request. I'd like to briefly highlight 2 points. First, the application relies on groundwater analysis from 1999. That analysis was predictive in nature, created before the construction for another project, and there was no evidence was ever validated against actual conditions after the construction or over time. The current proposal is much more complex. It includes additional structures, roadway work, grading, sewage. To rely on a 27-year-old analysis without updated modeling or verification does not meet the standard required to demonstrate no adverse impact. Second, the application references a short-term field observation of drainage ditch running between the property lines during dry summer conditions. That type of limited surface observation is not a substitute for comprehensive current groundwater hydrologic analysis. I'm not here to offer my own technical conclusions. My concern is that the applicant has not provided the level of analysis necessary to support theirs. Based on what has been submitted, there is no sufficient current site-specific data to support a finding of no adverse impact on the wetland system or abutting properties. My request to the commission is simple: that review and approval be deferred until the applicant provides updated, comprehensive, technical analysis as outlined in my letter and prepared by a qualified, independent party and subject to peer review. That would allow the commission and all the stakeholders to evaluate this project on a complete, reliable, and understanding of current conditions. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Deborah DeTora. I'm also a volunteer, Chelmsford volunteer, and a producer, host, chef of Cucina at Chelmsford TV. So I too, I live on 61 Thomas Drive, and that is a family home as well. I took care of both of my parents at that location. I'm not sure, and I also want to present the letter which shows the saturation and what's happened in the woodlands to the trees currently. So there is, it's very sensitive to water right now. So, and I'm not sure we're addressing this properly, because approximately 30 years ago, the area was reviewed for construction, which was scaled back, and abandonment of the Chestnut Hill Road going into Cantor Road. And other areas were sold to the town for conservation open space, clearly demonstrating that the town values this sensitive area. The current conditions already demonstrate that this area is highly sensitive to water, and it's highlighted by other speakers. I also want to just address shortly the proposed use of the paper street. That paper
Ma'am,
street.
that sounds like that might be a planning board type
Okay.
issue.
Okay.
Maybe. It just sounds like you're heading off towards a planning board issue.
Okay. And the other consideration, which you've already talked about, is why can't the access be through Lady Slipper Lane or the other side of Chestnut Hill Road? There seemed to be some discussion about that. And the intention of the original developer, Hicks, was to leave a forested area in back of the homes of Thomas Drive, Cantor Road, and Amble Road. So, and he didn't clear cut, and that's why those properties are desirable. He didn't clear cut all those trees. And then also the impact, which we discussed, about the peepers and the wood frogs. My backyard and the wooded area behind it also is designated the National Wildlife Habitat, which was recognized by Marty Meehan. He was a congressman at the time. So specifically, I asked the commission to consider, in addition to the previous points raised and others, to take into consideration the introduction of harmful chemicals from the lawns, driveways, roadways, i.e. the paper street, like fertilizers, pesticides, salt from the plowing, modeling of extreme storms, not just average, and update the measurements taken during normal conditions, not drought conditions. Chelmsford is still experiencing a moderate drought. And then impact on water quality, I don't know if that has anything to do with it at this location, but during October, December 25 time period, the drinking water has exceeded standards for PFAS, which increases the health risks for Chelmsford residents. If the commission is inclined to allow this project to move forward, I would strongly encourage that they scale back, reflecting the site's limitations, saturated conditions, and high water table and history. This should include reducing the development footprint, increasing setbacks from the wetland, and considering expansion of the adjacent conservation area to include the paper street, which the abutters have been maintaining for years. So it's not really a private way. It's something that there are a lot of trees on that, and I would hate to see the clear cutting of all of those trees all the way down to Cantor Road. So anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your input.
Good evening, Commission members. Thank you for holding this hearing, and thank you for allowing us to voice our concerns. My name is Matthew King. I live at 23 Amble Road. I've been there for about 14 years, so I have firsthand knowledge of seeing the conditions of these wetlands and what has changed over time. What I'd like to do in my comments tonight, if I may, is focus specifically on the health of the trees in the wetland resource area and the overall stability of the canopy, which I think is a topic that is important that hasn't really gotten enough discussion yet. It's important to note that the proposed project, in the process of clearing and grading a substantial tract of land, will open multiple new forest edges upslope from this wetland resource area. So as you all know, like most wetlands do, this resource area has shallow groundwater, very shallow groundwater table, and saturated hydric soils. So the trees here naturally develop very shallow root plates that depend on canopy protection to survive storms and high wind conditions. And it's also important to note this wetland serves an engineered function as it receives storm water directly from most of Amble Road, Trotting Road, and some smaller side roads. I've talked to many neighbors, and after several years of receiving record rain and snow, many of our neighbors have seen rising saturation levels. They've seen water encroaching into their yards, and they've seen uprooted trees happening recently, even under normal wind loading. So I do want to emphasize all of our observations suggest that this is a wetland that is already under hydrological stress before any construction even begins. I would also like to enter into evidence for your consideration that we already have a real-world example of how this wetland responds to edge disturbance. I would call to your attention that somewhere in the range of late 2017 or early 2018, a clear cutting of trees was conducted in the buffer zone next to the house at Lady Slipper Lane. The conservation agent confirmed to me that this work absolutely should have come before the commission, but we were not able to find any record of any filing or approval when we did a due diligence search. Over the course of a few years since that clearing, a clear directional corridor of wind-thrown-driven structural collapse has developed within the buffer zone and the wetland resource area. Field photos show classic mechanical root plate failure in saturated soils. These were healthy trees. They were uprooted by wind because they lost their canopy protection. We know from this that the wetland is fragile and sensitive to disturbance. Add to that the proposed project will open new forest edges on a much wider scale over a much larger area. I want to point out, the land that's under the paper street is not empty. It is currently forested upland that is serving as an easterly windbreak that this wetland has adapted to over decades. To build that road, that entire corridor must be clear-cut and terraced, so that's one layer of disturbance and brand-new edges. Then very steep house sites must be fully cleared, heavily graded, septic leach fields and presumably retaining walls all built within a terrace above this already stressed wetland. These wide new edges open up the wetland to increase wind loading, and the elevated terraces make that wind stronger and more turbulent. So given that this wetland is already under stress, it is already proven to be vulnerable to wind throw, I respectfully request that this commission require a professional assessment specifically of edge-induced wind effects on the trees and canopy as part of your review. I would respectfully ask that before you consider any approval, it's critical that you have a clear understanding of how new edges will affect the trees and in turn the wetland's ability to perform its statutorily protected functions. And I have prepared a detailed document with all of these analyses, pictures to back up the assertions that I've made that I will be mailing to the conservation agent after this hearing to share with all of you. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
So I just have one question.
Yes, Mr. Coombs.
So Matthew, you said early on that this area has a shallow groundwater table.
Yes, sir.
Has that been established, Brian?
I can speak for the soil testing we did for the septic systems.
Okay.
And it is not a shallow. Again, those testings was done up near the right-of-way, and not down into the wetland area. I'm sure Anthony can discuss auger holes, I guess, for lack of a better term, when he was delineating the wetland. But as far as my work is concerned, it was not a shallow water table, no.
Can you give an estimated depth to groundwater? Where you
60 inches estimated seasonal high water table.
16 inches below the surface?
Correct.
Okay. And what's required for a septic system?
So septic systems just need to be 48 inches above that.
Okay, so that means bringing in a lot of fill?
Well, that means the systems itself are within the ground.
Yeah.
but we can talk about breakout grading, right?
Mm-hmm.
Top of the system's 15 foot out. That's where the fill that I explained before comes from. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. David, you good?
Yep.
Well,
Thank you.
okay. Next up, please. Thank you, Mr. King.
Hi. Good evening. Thank you for the late night in this very hot room and for hearing us all out. My name is Kate Ravanis. I live at 25 Amble Road. Many of my neighbors have already touched on several of the points I'm concerned about, so I will try to be concise with time and stick to just some areas that I don't feel have been covered yet sufficiently. If you don't mind, I'd love to just point to one area here to provide a little context to where my remarks are coming from. So my property is right here at 25 Amble. The wetlands property, as illustrated on this map, stops at the property line of the proposed development. The wetlands do continue, as it should have, onto my property, and so does the grade down as well. So that's just kind of some of the context, as my neighbor Wayne said, right? This is all uphill, and the wetlands continue downhill onto my property. So I'm sure you're all well aware, under the Massachusetts reasonable use doctrine, a landowner cannot artificially concentrate and discharge water onto a neighbor in a way that causes harm. I would argue that by replacing the 100-foot buffer's natural vegetation, and in some areas going all the way to the 30-foot zone, with these three houses, and a driveway, as well as landscaping, the developer is converting what used to be and currently is a passive natural runoff into an active water trespass. I would request that the board require a zero net increase runoff to mandate to ensure that the property and the wetlands do not become a de facto drainage basin for this uphill development. I appreciate that the research has been done, that we do not appear concerned, but that is not guaranteed, and my property and the property of wetlands that I'm responsible for on my property will be directly impacted if we cannot make this guarantee. I would also like to speak to the vernal pools, specifically the notation that there are none. As all the site visits that were done stopped at the property line. As I mentioned, the continuation onto my property is where there are several areas where I do believe that there's a high possibility of these vernal pools. Even if not certified, we do know that these areas are a habitat for many wildlife, and the pools rely on a precise hydro period. That's the timing and the duration of standing water. Any uphill drainage, again, if we cannot guarantee that is not flowing onto these properties, whether it's an increase in volume or a change in the timing of the runoff for very specific excessive storms that have not been studied, constitutes as a biological trespass. Excessive runoff from uphill construction could flood out these pools, destroying the ability to support any obligate species, as well as the issues that my neighbor Matt mentioned around the trees and the broader wetlands environment. I would be interested to know if the developer has conducted any hydrologic studies, specifically on how their drainage will alter the water levels, ensure that there is some peer ecological engineer reviews, not only to the lines of the wetlands, but the impacts to the wetlands with these potential water concerns. Secondly, water trespassing isn't just about volume, it's about pollutant loading. So my neighbor Deb commented on chemicals, but runoff from new lawns that are all the way up to the 30-foot marker on the wetlands will have fertilizers. Driveways that are, you can see in these particular units, do surpass the 100-foot area and well into the 50-foot, can have oil and salt. That is all directed towards my property with excessive storms. It could continuate the wetlands there, and as I mentioned, the vernal pools earlier. In Massachusetts, adding any point source pollutants to a certified or jurisdictional wetlands is a violation of water quality standards. I've lived in Chelmsford for 28 years, not consecutively, but I moved back here to raise my family in this area as well, and highly am concerned about the increase that we've seen in the water quality, or the decrease in the water quality standards as PFAs have increased over time. So I would ask the Commission to deny any drainage plan that does not provide 100% on-site containment, as any overflow onto my land where the wetlands reside primarily would constitute an illegal chemical trespass into a protected habitat. If the proposed uphill infiltration systems fail or clog, which I think we commented on, and even the developer himself did say can happen in certain storm conditions, it's also common in general in residential developments. I've had the same problem myself in recent years. The resulting overflow will be a direct physical trespass, again, into the wetlands area. I would ask the committee to consider a documented maintenance bond and a notice of responsibility to be attached to any deeds of these 3 new homes, even the adjoining unit. This ensures that future owners, not me or my neighbors, are not held liable for the physical and environmental damage that could be caused by this water trespassing from their lots onto the protected wetlands property. I appreciate your time. I'm sure this is not what you had on your bingo card for a Tuesday evening. I certainly did not, and I really consider your careful consideration of this matter. I just want to have it noted for the record that I am formally objecting to any unreasonable interference with the land's natural drainage and the degradation of the wetlands habitat, which I feel when I signed my real estate documents was entitled to protect under the Wetlands Protection Act, and common law trespass principles, of course, also apply here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. All right. So I would like to limit the public input to one more speaker. We have a number of other public hearings that we still have to get to this evening, as well as a number of items on the agenda as well. So we could have maybe one more public speaker. For the public out there, if you've had something you're dying to do, I mean, we'll certainly take input to our agent, and we're going to be coming back to a future meeting, so we'll be open again for public input at that stage of the game. But and then I'd like to have Attorney Hausler and his team have a chance to rebut or respond to some of the questions and comments or concerns from the public as well, too. So I want to work that in. So if you could come up again, name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Kristen McLeod. I am an abutter to this project. I'm at 29 Amble Road. Much like the Coulises, my family have been in Chelmsford for generations, and I have spent much of my life living in town. My concern is that we're talking a lot about the buildings themselves being outside of the 50-foot range. But what we haven't addressed much is retaining wall structures. This is a hill, and it's a steep enough hill that there will need to be erosion control structures. Those will be within the 50-foot line of the wetlands. And my other concern also is that while the septic leaching fields are outside of the 100-foot zone, they are uphill from the wetlands. And having lived in town long before we ever had septic tanks, they fail sometimes. They overflow, they have issues. Any issues with those will go downhill directly into the wetlands. So again, I would like to see more detail about what type of erosion control structures they're going to have, how close to the 30-foot line are they going to be, and more talk about how any potential septic leaching field failures would be handled, and what the impact to the wetlands would be. And much like my neighbors, I would also like to ask for a peer-reviewed evaluation of the wetlands by an independent party.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go back to Attorney Hausler and his team. If you want to make any further comments this evening, or just reserve your rights, but you've got the floor if you'd like to take it.
I'll be brief. We certainly don't intend to trespass on somebody's property. Brian will do the engineering to take care of stormwater drainage. And
folks, yes, okay. And let Attorney Hausler kind of have his say, and
we're going to address the concerns that I've heard tonight. I've taken notes from the people who have spoken, and we'll address them. And when we come back before the board, we'll present you with answers to a lot of the comments that were made, the unsubstantiated comments. But thank you.
All right, Attorney Hausler. All right. Yes, Dave?
Can I ask Brian a question?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Brian, Dave McLaughlin. I'm looking at sheet number 5. I'm trying to understand some history. Is the edge of the wetlands right along the property, right on Street 5, is that on the property line of all the houses that are on Amble?
Correct.
So historically, that must have been created
Correct.
by man.
Anecdotally, I don't know if this is,
Well, you can't tell.
because I
But
haven't
mean,
been
it's
around.
too
but
o- It's
I was
too
told that
obvious that it's
the
not
property
natural.
line, that rear property line was placed along that
So
drainage
some
ditch.
portion of Amble was probably filled in. Some portion of Amble was probably wetlands.
Correct.
And it looks like it was filled in to create this land. Okay, thank you.
And as the commission knows, and just to answer one of the questions, is we don't typically go on other people's property and flag
Right.
wetlands. We do know there's a wetland line on the other side of that property line, but I'd be put in jail if we go out and start hanging flags on other people's property, so that's.
We have to worry about the same thing ourselves.
Correct.
All right, thanks, Brian. Dave, anything else? Commissioners, anything? All right, so, yeah, we have a site walk coming up. The commission's next two meetings, we have a meeting scheduled for April 28th as well as May 12th. I know I think May 11th, you're in front of the planning board. 13th, okay, so either way, anyway. So we're gonna need a motion to continue, but then I get back to Mr. Coons's point. I think he was looking for some authorization from the commission to proceed with a peer review.
A peer review, a couple things, yeah, peer review of the wetland delineation, number one, and number two, based on the site visit, and what I see out there, the commission gives me authorization to include in the scope of the wetland delineation, an evaluation of whether there are vernal pool or vernal pools out there, included that in the scope.
Okay, Attorney Hauser?
I think in part, we're putting the cart before the horse. Why don't we have the site walk first? Let's determine what needs to be done or not need to be done. Let's not get into peer reviews 100% yet. And let's see what your results are of the site walk, and then we can have the discussion about it. But I don't see the need for a peer review immediately, that's all.
Well, my recommendation for the peer review of the wetland delineation, again, is just based on the plan, that, you know, these buildings are coming up right up against the 50-foot no-build. I don't think that's, I mean, I don't, on the site visit, I don't intend to do a review of the wetland delineation. I think that's outside the scope. So I think based on that, my recommendation, yeah, is a peer review of the wetland delineation, just like what was done on a recent project. Now, if we go the route Doug is suggesting, that means that decision will have to be made at the next meeting. Can't make that decision at the site visit. That's an illegal deliberation. So I think that decision needs to be made now. Yeah, I think it could wait until the next meeting to make a decision on the vernal pool, but I think that's when the discussion would have to be held. On the other hand, the further we get into vernal pool season, you know, I think we're still well within the window, but you can't delay too long.
Then, if you want to authorize the peer review, then so be it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hauser. Could I have a motion then?
Can I have a question, Chris?
Oh, yeah, question first.
For Brian. Brian, do you have the houses marked out, the corners of the houses on the lots for the site walk?
We do not, but we certainly could do that. That's Thursday. Probably not till, I'll try.
Just the back
Yep.
couple corners, I guess.
Yep, I could try to get that done
If you don't-
tomorrow, before 1 o'clock on Thursday, but yeah, we can try.
It would just help out to
Yep.
see.
Nope,
Sure.
absolutely.
Thank
Are
you.
the delineations out there? Could we possibly follow those?
Yep, the flags are there.
Flags?
50 hundreds are already there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get you. All right.
Again, if that's tick infested, that's not something I'm going to do. Let's go out and start taking a tape measure and measure the distance from flags to corners. Commission members are welcome to do that if you feel like it. Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Not with this new tick that's out.
We get those special advance. All right. So our agent made a recommendation, and what I heard was he's recommending that we have a peer review of the wetlands line, and maybe we'll just do it one step at a time. Does somebody want to make a motion that we authorize that peer
I
review?
so move we authorize
Mr.
the peer
McLaughlin?
review
Second.
of this project.
Excuse me, Dave.
Okay, and we have Peter on a second, okay? So any discussion before we vote on that motion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous, okay. And with respect to the dealing with the vernal pool aspect of it. Are you suggesting that we have that authorization now or wait until? We're out there on the site?
I think it could wait, again, pending the site visit. However, if the consultant goes out there twice, that could potentially be more expensive, although then again, maybe the wetland delineation could wait until that decision is made, but again, that might then delay things. So there's kind of upsides and downsides, but I don't think it's critical, that decision be made right now to scope out the vernal pool. And if the applicant and his representatives would prefer to wait until after the site visit, I'm agreeable to that.
All right, so does the commissioner want to take a further motion, or are we satisfied at this point with just having the action of the peer review of the wetlands line?
I would just point out, if there is in fact a vernal pool, I'm not saying there is, I have no idea, that would really impact the course of this thing. So I would look to the applicant, how big a hurry are you in?
You're right, the sooner it's done, then the less delay would be later.
It's not my call, but observation.
I think if the peer review is going to be done, let's do it in one shot.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, honestly, So Peter, if you could make a motion then that we include the vernal pool peer review.
Potentially, based on
Potential.
based on
Based
my
on what we see
assessment.
out at the site. At least we got the flexibility, and we're not going to delay things weeks unnecessarily.
Right.
Yeah, so I move that our agent obtain a scope of work and procure a qualified consultant to take a look at the wetland delineation and whether or not there's a vernal pool within 100 feet, right?
Could be plural.
Vernal pools, thank you, within 100 feet that would affect our deliberations.
All right, Peter with a motion, seconded by?
Second.
Ally? All right, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Unanimous. Point of order back there?
I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. Is the site visit,
To the podium, please.
sorry.
It's okay, take your time.
Is the site visit that we're doing, it's only marking the side of the wetlands that's impacted? So are we looking at the vernal pools on our property? Do we need to formally submit permission to do that? Because that's still within the 100-foot zone.
No, this is restricted to the property.
Okay, so there's a slope to these wetlands. So how can we make sure, do I have to hire my own lawyer and ecological engineer to prove that that property isn't, because my property is still within 100 feet from these houses.
Can't she grant permission?
She certainly could grant permission, but I
just think that it's very dry in the area that we're looking here. It gets very wet once we get in that area. So that I just don't know how you are gonna. I want Chelmsford's taxpayer dollars to be well spent with this review.
On the review, actually, the applicant will be paying for the review. So they're going to be paying for the review on the property they own.
Yeah.
So I
would have to hire my own engineer in this case.
Yeah.
Is your concern where the wetland line is on your property? Is that your
I know
concern?
where it is on my property. I'm concerned that it's like everybody's eyes closed when they get here.
Yeah.
But what if there's a vernal pool right here? We're here, we're here, we're here. That's still within 100 feet of all of this development.
So the motion was
Yeah.
for a consultant to tell us if there's a vernal pool within 100 feet, because that's what we have
Yeah.
legal authority to look at. And I just assumed we would deal with access to other properties.
Okay, that makes sense.
Am
I just wasn't sure.
correct? Or because you're suggesting, David, that maybe we're not going to
Well,
look within 100 feet.
I mean, yeah, the applicant is paying for that, so I'd at least like to know how they feel about.
Yeah, they won't go past it.
I don't know that the commission has the legal authority to require the consultant to go off the applicant's property. I mean, they can certainly look at aerial photos and, other sorts of data.
I would just
that
like
might
to request that the
indicate it.
board would consider, doing their own review in that case, because there's many neighbors who will be impacted by that. So.
I mean, I'm willing to go out as the agent on your property and take a look at it, just for whatever that might be worth. but I don't know that that was going to make a big difference.
I hear
anyway.
you. I'm just saying, from my perspective, like, I deal with a lot of, corrections departments, and we always say, like, crime doesn't stop at state lines, right? And I feel as when we're talking about all these, conversations about the wetlands don't stop at the property line, and our eyes and, thoughtful review should not either. And so I would go with what you recommend, David Kuntz, so.
Send me an email.
And, just follow up with David.
Yeah, will
Follow up
do.
with David.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Okay, so we've got the peer review studied. We need a motion to continue to our next meeting. The 28th of April is our next scheduled meeting. The applicant consents to that?
Yep,
Very
very least
good.
we can come get an update or whatever it may
Exactly.
be.
So if we have a motion then to continue to our next meeting of April 28th, this hearing?
Move.
Moved? Seconded?
One little thing.
Yeah, Mark.
You don't feel confident you could have any of those markings of house location corners by Thursday, right?
No, I'm gonna do my best to
Oh,
do
you
that.
can?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
good, good, perfect, thank you.
No, I apologize, yeah.
Yeah.
Good, just one procedural question, and I know it's come up some other times. Generally, the commissioners are only allowed doing the site inspection at one go. That's typically what happens in these things. Occasionally, the property owner will allow other parties, but that is totally discretionary with the property owner. So at this point, it's commissioners only going out for this site walk. And we, again, need permission to do that. So that's, but I do encourage people to contact the applicant's representatives, and they very well may want to address concerns that people have raised. So I bring that point up. But let's see, did we vote on the motion for the continuance? We got Bill on the motion and John on the second. And all those in favor of that motion, say aye. Any opposed, none unanimous. So we're all set. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. It may ask Mr. Kuntz, through you, Mr. Chair, to get copies of some of the letters that were
Sure.
submitted from the
Yes.
abutters, just so we have.
Absolutely.
I
We'd
tried
like
my
you to
best
see
take
those.
notes, but
Yeah, I'll pick them up in the morning.
Okay.
thank you. Thanks for your time.
Okay,
Thank you for your time, John.
Thank you, everyone.
thank you.
Chris,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna hit the minute.
Okay, yeah. Now, we'll take a brief break here. John's gonna go, and we all have to stretch. Everybody is, hold it, we're
You know,
missing,
One more.
where's Mr.,
DJ.
Yeah.
where's our Mr. Coombs, all
Thomas
right?
Drive goes down to the Travis's little building, right?
Yeah.
Just one
Okay.
sec, we need Mr.
Can't, there's a
Coombs
street
back.
on the right before that. It goes up, and that's where that's where the.
Vivian, where'd you go?
Try to go to that water sampling training program.
You can't miss
If you're
it.
on that email.
Right
string,
before
or the
Travis.
meeting
I
we
haven't
had.
gotten
any
updates recently, but I was on whatever you were forwarding me.
Travis got his
I don't,
right here.
I've reached out to you about that.
Father's
I've got a
house is
couple of
here.
avenues to try to get
We
this
have that
done.
paper road here.
I'm at a
It's
dead end.
right here.
Try a third approach.
Around.
Or we don't do
Paper
it.
road, there's a, his house is here.
But I mean, that was a
There's a
good
house
point that they were
here.
making about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
street being
Land goes over
impervious
there.
surface being greater salinity. That's all.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming back into session here
Yeah,
this evening.
I'll go up there with you.
We have our
First time
next
it's really
notice of
someone's
intent
talked about it.
filing. This is notice of intent, Brian Weedick, 96 Park Road. Susan MacArthur, who's at the podium, from MacArthur Environmental Consulting LLC. It's representing the applicant. And now we have to turn to our legal notice to be read into the record by our vice chairman.
Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, the Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing in Room 204 at the Chelmsford Town Offices at 50 Billericay Road on Tuesday, April 14th, 2026 at 7:05 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by property owner Brian Weedick for proposed work in the 100-foot buffer to bordering vegetative wetlands at 96 Park Road, further identified as Assessor's Map 117, Block 449, Lot 8. The project entails construction of an accessory dwelling unit, ADU, with associated parking.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Vice Chairman. And now over to Ms. MacArthur.
Thank you. Again, for the record, my name is Susan MacArthur from MacArthur Environmental Consulting. Brian Weedick, first row. I just want to note that the DEP did issue their file number, which you probably know, Dave, right? 129-0981. So again, we filed this notice of intent for the construction of an accessory dwelling unit at 96 Park Road within the state regulated 100-foot buffer zone and the locally regulated buffer zones, all within previously disturbed areas, buffer zones to BVW. So we are requesting a waiver to work in these locally regulated areas. So the property is 0.93 acres, consists of a 2-story wood frame single-family home, a back deck, U-shaped paved driveway, a detached garage, and the foundation of a former garage/shed and landscaped yard. A forested wetland associated with a perennial stream, Farley Brook, located over 750 feet away, the brook is located at the rear of the subject property. The boundary of the forested wetland was delineated on December 12th of last year with consecutively numbered pink flagging 1-100 to 1-106. This past Tuesday, David did come out for, excuse me, a site visit, and we did agree to move a few of the wetland flags up gradient. I can't tell if that is the, yeah, that's the revised. So I did revise the, I took measurements of the new flag locations and did revise with a red line where the new flagging is, but we haven't had a chance to, since that was just Tuesday, we haven't had a chance to get that over to the engineer to revise the plan for the buffer zones and whatnot. So, but we will do that. So the proposed project consists of constructing a 1-story, 860 square foot ADU with a 50 square foot portico within the backyard of the subject property, partially within the footprint of the former shed/garage, and further away from the wetland resource boundary. So it will also have a 144 square foot raised deck constructed on piers off the side of the ADU. The driveway will also be reconfigured so that the grassy median that you see up near the road will be removed and 5 uniform parking spots will be created. So overall, the project will result in a reduction of 23 square feet of impervious area within the locally regulated 30-foot no impervious area due to the removal of the existing foundation and moving the proposed structure away from the wetland. So we recognize that, you know, it's within right now. We're proposing to move everything forward and then get rid of that concrete foundation and restore it with, you know, loam and seed. And so prior to any ground disturbance, we are proposing an erosion and sediment control barrier, which will be, I think it's a dashed black line that's at the down gradient limits of work. And as mitigation, so again, I said mitigation will be restoring that area where the foundation is. We also are proposing to plant 4 arborvitae along the edge of the disturbed area. And these plants should provide food and cover for birds and small mammals. And also, because there is a high groundwater table in this area, dry wells are not being proposed. They'd be sitting in water all the time. So instead, the applicant is proposing rain barrels to capture the clean rooftop runoff and reuse it to water the restored area and the arborvitae. So does anyone have any questions?
Let's start down this end for a change up. Mr. Coons, anything preliminarily?
So, and I did speak quite at length with Mr. Weedick and Susan at the site visit. I did, in all honesty, say that this is going to be probably a really hard sell with the Conservation Commission, given that, especially now with the revisions to the wetland line, that virtually the entire building is within the 50-foot and no build setback. Having said that, I think there's a serious possibility of doing an alternative design whereby I think, don't know for sure, but I think that there would be a pretty good chance where it could comply, especially if the applicant's willing to make maybe, I think, to my mind, some minor concessions. The first thing is, and I believe you've established this with the building commissioner, the engineer, it seems implied from this plan that the front zoning setback is 40 feet. But my understanding is, and again, hopefully you confirm this with the building commissioner, that given the age of the house, given that it was built before 1938, the front setback is actually 25 feet from the road, not 40 feet. So that right away gives you 15 feet under zoning to be able to move the building 15 feet closer to the road. Now, you also recall recently, and I forwarded this information to Mr. Weedick, that of a recent project where the applicant needed a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals for further relief from the front setback. So I think if it's a matter of, then moving it an additional 5 feet to get it out of the 50-foot no disturb, and that would require a variance from the ZBA, I think that's a reasonable thing to do, just in my opinion. The other issue is showing 5 parking spaces in between the road and the house. If the applicant could live with 4 instead of 5, I think that, two of the parking spaces could be put to the left in between the existing house and the ADU, proposed ADU, and 2 parking spaces could be put on the right. Now, I know we did discuss there are some utility poles there that may present a problem with the parking spaces. They would have to be moved, which is probably highly unlikely. But I think the point I'm trying to make is I think the engineer, it's reasonable to ask the engineer to go back and take another look at this. You know, see if a design can be prepared that's more in compliance with the setback requirements. So that's mainly what I have to say. Do you think I described that accurately?
Yes, but I also just want to reiterate that the proposed ADU is almost entirely within previously or impervious areas. So whether that be a little piece of the existing foundation or the existing pavement of the driveway that it is now. So, and no trees are coming out or anything like that. So technically, we're not creating, in fact, it's a reduction of impervious. So I just want to reiterate that.
Thanks, Susan. Thanks. Good. Well, let's just move along, see where the commission's at. Peter?
Yeah, let me make it quick. I mean, at first glance, it's kind of hard for us to approve of a building almost entirely in what we call the 50-foot no-build. So that's the fundamental problem. Some of the alternatives David was suggesting, I don't know if that works, you know, for the owner, but that might help. But it's still probably going to be a major building within the 50-foot no-build zone, or a piece of it. So we have to talk about that. I echo the feeling of the parking. It'd be great if it could be non-pervious, or rather pervious pavement. Also, the parking looks really big. I mean, it's more than just one vehicle, I think. So we might take a look at that. Well, a couple more little things, but why don't we move on?
Thanks,
Figure
Peter.
out the big picture.
Yeah, thanks. And Ally?
Just a couple clarifying questions. So you said the ADU will be put on piers or part of it, or?
No, there is not going to be a foundation. You know, it'll be like a slab, and it'll be the side deck that'll be on piers.
So the side deck, okay.
Yeah.
Of the ADU?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and you're putting the ADU on the current existing slab in there, removing part of it, or?
Well, it'll have to come out. So the existing will come out, and then it'll be redone. Because I think in Massachusetts, building code is like a 6-foot frost wall or 4-foot frost wall or something like that. So they'll have to take that out and, you know, redo it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess my last question is more for you guys, not so much her. The deck being on piers, you said that there was high groundwater out there?
Well, it doesn't come up to that area, but it definitely would not accommodate a dry well, because I believe dry well, from the bottom of the dry well to the seasonal high groundwater needs to be at least 2 feet, so we won't have that depth.
Okay, yeah, that was my question for you guys about, you know, the piers for the deck. I was under the understanding that it was the whole ADU, but it's the deck there, so,
Yeah.
you know, in terms of effects on groundwater and erosion control with putting that in, but it doesn't look too big, so.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good. Dave?
This is my first exposure to ADU, so you're gonna have to educate me.
Before us, there was an ADU.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know anything about it, okay, because this is my first meeting
Yeah.
since the law was put in place. What authority does the Conservation Commission have with an ADU to require them to follow conservation regulations and bylaws?
So we still have our full authority.
Full authority.
Full authority.
Okay.
Yeah, we do not give up anything.
Okay. Is this unit going to be a rental or an ownership?
No, it's gonna be used for family purposes. My wife and I are expecting another baby, so the intent is to build it, so family can come out for extended periods of time to stay with us.
So it's not gonna be separate, okay.
It will be a standalone building.
Yeah, no.
But, yeah, it will be used for family purposes.
I think to ask for a waiver on all 3 of our major requirements, 25-foot, 30-foot, and 50-foot, for the second ADU that we've seen. We were talking earlier. I'm a great believer that there is something to be said for precedent setting. Although, I don't think we have to necessarily go by it. I think it's a mistake to consider 3 waivers on our second application. And as I think David has said and suggested, there appears to be enough flexibility to work around the situation.
If I may, if I could just follow up at one point. So as far as the design, this is what,
Can I go to the thing?
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sure.
Dennis,
To follow up just on, I can't remember who brought it up. This is what it used to look like. This is what was there before. And what we're proposing to do is essentially, it was built back. So it was built downslope and then brought up to grade to be flush with this concrete pad that's flush with the driveway. So essentially what we're trying to do is essentially plop the ADU right where the carport and workshop were and restore the wetland in the back where the concrete was. So we would dig that out, restore it to the board's, standard, and then we would essentially drop it right where the existing structure was. So the thought with this, and I understand the setbacks and all that and the buffer zones, but really this structure has been here probably for close to 100 years. I mean, we have our neighbors here who grew up in the home who could tell a little bit more about the history than I could, but the structure has been there for a very long time. The ground is disturbed. Our concern with bringing the project forward is that we'll be creating a new disturbance when in reality we're going to have to disturb the existing ground anyways to get the concrete out of the ground. So rather than create a new disturbance, we would be repairing the old one and then putting up our structure at the same time. So that was the intent with proposing it this way, with those buffers in mind, of course.
That's all I had.
Good, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Mark?
Yeah, I'm in the same school of thought on putting in between the 30 and the 50, and then going into the 25. I don't think you're creating a pinch point there that's your problem. It shouldn't be ours. You also say that the water level is groundwater is fairly shallow.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So you can't install any kind of Caltech chambers to get rid of the water, let it go into the ground. How are you gonna treat surface water from the impervious areas?
Yeah, we were proposing rain barrels, but we could look at something else if the conditions.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Well, that would be from the roof. Then there's
Right.
also
Right,
the,
the
there's also
water
the
runoff
park-
from the
Rain
roof.
barrel's
also the
gonna have to
parking
leach.
areas.
What's that?
The rain barrel's gonna have to leach out. It can't just sit there.
Well, right, they were gonna use it to water the arborvitae and the new restored back lawn there.
But there's also the runoff from the parking area.
Members to do it.
Yeah, they're not gonna, anyways.
David, could you put the existing, if you pan over it so
Yes.
they can see? Yeah, I'm looking at a different plan, but, so you can kind of see the existing structure.
Right.
Where it falls within the 30-foot, 50-foot. So it's not like we're creating something, that's already within the no disturb areas.
That's pretty much what my concerns are right now. I'm not really in favor of this, but on to the next person.
Okay. All right, Bill, questions, comments?
Yep. Have you been to the planning, Board of Appeals yet for this plan?
No.
No, you just, okay. I didn't know if you had been there yet.
No, we've gotten sign-offs from the water department, DPW, fire. I've talked informally with the building department. They just need a couple more documents, but nothing that.
I know David had mentioned splitting the parking, but I'm not sure that would create another curb cut, and you're only allowed one curb cut.
So the driveway as it is right now is a U shape, and then there's grass in between the two entry points. So this drawing is just proposing turning that grassy area into parking spots to make more. So that's already, part of that, as it's drawn on the screen right now, is already paved.
Okay.
So the middle 3 spots would be the grassy area that we would just be paving to create more space for parking.
Yeah, that's not up to us anyways. I'm just curious.
Just one thing, Bill. I think another curb cut is allowed for an ADU, no?
No, just
Even
one,
for just a parking?
the existing curb cut.
I just want to say,
For the ADU?
one concern we might have is, there does appear to be some ledge out in that area. David saw that as well when you were on the site visit. So we don't know if it's going to be an issue or not, but it might be.
Yeah, I was just, David, the fact that there is something existing within that 50 and 30 foot, does that come into play at all as far as us?
There's nothing formal in the regulations about that. What I explained to Brian and Susan during the site visit was that I think that's been true for other filings where the commission has not only required that the setbacks be adhered to the maximum extent feasible, but also require restoration. That was certainly done on the Russell Road project.
Right.
Where again, he went to the ZBA and also proposed a massive amount of restoration.
Right.
Now if here, let's say he can get it to 45 feet, so that 5 feet of the building is within the 50-foot no build. I think it's certainly the commission's prerogative to say, well, if you do a complete restoration of that area now that's currently where the old foundation existed, tear up most of that existing loop parking area. I think it's the commission's prerogative to approve the plan for all of that in
Excuse me,
return.
Chris, we're not suggesting that.
Right, not
No.
suggesting that, but.
Right. I was just asking if there was any leniency because there's something already there.
No, there's.
Not really?
Again, there's nothing formal in the regulations.
Okay.
It's
So
sort of
if
been-
there's nothing formal in the regulations, would the board have discretion to approve it?
Well, but there is an explicit requirement that new structures be outside the 50-foot build. That is explicitly in.
Right, understood, but where this is an existing structure, or an existing foundation of a former structure that was destroyed,
Just my opinion, and I'm certainly not an attorney, I don't think that's in keeping with the letter of the regulations. That's just my opinion.
All right, back to Bill. Bill?
I think it's a hard sell. I mean, I think maybe you'd want to take another look at it with the Board of Appeals and maybe get some relief in the front. And if maybe, the way it is now, most of the building's in the 50-foot.
right?
Maybe there's a compromise somewhere there. If you do the due diligence on getting it close to the street or something different.
Is there a hard line rule as to how much I have to move it up?
Yeah, 50 feet.
No, I
So
understand.
40-some odd feet.
Yeah.
No.
That's the problem.
No,
Yeah.
there's no hard lines.
No.
It's just-
No.
I'm just trying to think in the sake of efficiency, going back to the engineers, going back to the surveyors, to just say, hey, this is what the standard is.
I would start your thinking with the hard line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would personally recommend exhaust every possible legal option you have. And then
What do
see
you
where
mean?
that gets you.
What does that mean?
Well, yeah, I would say zoning, I would say curb cuts, even if it means putting the parking a little bit farther away from the structures than you want. See the best you can absolutely do, and then if you want any relief from that, you have to ask the commission, but the commission might say no.
Okay.
All right,
I'm
Bill,
good.
you're good?
Yep.
John?
Yep, well, the problem is we've had so many close to that 50-foot line in the past several meetings. People have accommodated just outside that 50-foot line.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was a real hard sell. Westford Street there, right? Sonny's land. They brought that house, cut the garage, they did whatever they had to do. They moved lot lines all over the place. I mean, to build in the 50-foot no-build, even with an existing structure, well, let's say somebody lived in that structure at one time, and you could prove it, it'd be a whole different story. It'd be a Russell Road, right? So,
Don't say that.
well, we had that sell at Russell
I'm
Road.
glad I wasn't on the commission.
Well, we had that sell at Russell Road, that somebody lived in a shed.
But it ended up being bogus, still.
It was bogus. It was a bogus claim, you know, and we got taken on it, but
And I think, Brian, you had mentioned you're not willing to downsize the size of the ADU.
Of the ADU, no.
what about not a design build, but make it more of a ranch design, long,
Like
like they
longer?
did on
Yeah.
Russell Road. They made a long, skinny house. That's what they did.
We could definitely go back and see, I think.
Well, we're not gonna design his house.
No, I said, we're not designing this.
So, you know, I heard in the last meeting that was just here a minute ago, they, you know, talked about just being really close to that 50-foot buffer. So if we put and again, I know we probably can't speak in absolutes here, but if we put the back of the building at the 50-foot, right as the 50-foot comes away from the wetlands, would that be an issue? Because we do have to do construction, we have to dig, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that.
We've approved.
It's the building. It's the building.
It's the building.
Any-
It's the
anything
foundation.
related.
You pin
Yeah,
the
so you,
foundation.
exactly, so you'd have the line,
And you
right,
heard-
and we pin the foundation,
Right.
and that'd be like, right there, that's the hard stop.
So
yeah.
theoretically, the back of the building could be at that 50-foot mark. Okay.
At Russell Road, we gave them what, how many feet off the lake?
A few.
There was some discussion of the prior hearing about activity behind the building.
Maybe that's what I
while it was
misunderstood.
being
Okay,
constructed,
got it.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
We understand that.
Right. But we know you gotta do construction and.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's understood.
But especially if you're proposing a really, significant restoration plan in back. that
Yeah,
really
of course.
helps.
No, that's always been part of the plan, is to clean the area up, get the concrete out. I mean, I'd imagine that's allowed to dig that out, even though it is in the
Oh,
buffer.
that's encouraged, honestly,
Yeah.
to
Of
to
course,
restore
yeah,
it, clean it
that-
up, that would be a plus.
That's always been part of the plan.
Yeah.
So,
It's a public hearing, anybody in the public want to add anything at this point in time? Sir, come on up, name, address?
Jim Reed, 100 Park Road. I live right next to Brian, and I have no problems with what he wants to do. And as far as sleeping in it, I slept in that building a couple times. Does that count?
I knew that was gonna come out.
Were you in trouble?
I knew that was gonna come out.
If you knew my father, it would be in trouble. But he's cleaning the place up. There
Yeah.
was a building there,
Yeah.
Yep.
and, I live right next door to him. And I have no problems with him.
Well, we appreciate your neighborly input. And another speaker.
John Reed, 90 Park Road, basically the same thing. I have no problem with what he wants to do there. It was a chicken coop 100 years ago. It's, the building's been there forever. So I don't think I ever slept in it though, sorry. Thank you.
Not with the chickens, huh?
Well,
All
the
right.
chicken slept there. So does that count?
Oh,
Did it have running water?
What came first? Yeah, what came first?
What came first?
Came first. All right, so I think we've got, kind of gave you some, good feedback, input, kind of where the commission's at.
Right.
As our agent said, it's a tough sell.
Sure.
But, I detect some flexibility, maybe there to work something out that could work out, so.
okay. So if can we come back then in 2 weeks with
Yeah.
a new plan, new design,
Yes.
and have it?
Time for you?
Sorry?
Is 2 weeks enough time for you?
Oh, yeah, we could get it turned around very quickly.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we
we're
can move to
motivated to get the
continue.
project done, so I'll work with the engineer and the surveyor to make the adjustments.
Yes.
Is there anything else that I need to be aware of I obviously know the buffer zones. I mean, is there anything else I need to be thinking about while we put the plan together or make the edits?
Think you're good, but talk to our agent.
Yeah, so I think Susan mentioned this already, that the new wetland line and buffer zones need to be added to this plan.
Yes, we'll fix
The
that.
first thing I would
Yeah.
do.
As far as the restoration behind the, where the building was, I mean, is there anything,
I'll think about that.
I'd like to see the restoration done before anything else is done.
Plan.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I'd like to see the restoration work done
Prior
before,
to anything.
before you start anything on the
Yeah,
new
prior to
stru-
construction.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
demolition and,
Yeah.
So that
So-
can
so
certainly
the
be put in
intent-
as a condition in the order
Okay.
if you end up issuing one.
And well, like,
If-
I'm sure Dave will tell you, like, where your piles of loam gonna be, or your dirt, when you, all that stuff Dave knows about.
Yeah.
He'll give it to you.
So our schedule, as it is now, just in informal discussions with the excavator, is to dig the area out. We can then backfill it however the board decides, and then we would start digging the new foundation for the building. So that would happen first. It
You
would
can
happen.
provide all of that at a later date.
Okay.
You don't have to settle on that
Got
for
it.
the details right now.
All right.
I have,
Yeah,
I
John?
have one question.
John?
Now, I'm not really 100% up on the side yard setbacks with the ADUs and everything. Do they follow the same side yard setback and everything else?
So
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Whatever the zoning district it's in.
For the ADU? Because I
believe
was
so. I
told
believe
that
so.
they follow a different side yard setback and everything else.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
I mean, we got the expert on that whole thing right there.
Right
Chris,
there.
Chris LaValle, please take the
Please
podium.
correct us.
So the setbacks for ADUs are the same as single-family homes. The only thing is you can't have an ADU in the front yard of a single-family home.
Okay.
In other words,
So
you
that's
can't
the
have it any
only-
closer than the existing
You,
home, right, to the road.
there's some interpretation of that, but yeah, primarily you can't be in the front yard. And you're correct, you can't have two curb cuts. It has to be from the same curb cut.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Right. I know it's a whole set of rules with these ADUs that maybe,
Well, John, in your rehab period, you can get up to speed with them.
It's rehab.
And can I just,
Yeah, physical rehab, yeah.
I might take this upon myself to ask some of these ADU builders.
So we have 2 more hearings, just a reminder.
We're gonna probably be seeing these a lot. All right, so, could we have a motion then to continue this hearing until our next meeting of April 28th, in 2 weeks? Moved by Bill, and Peter raises his hand to second that motion. Any discussion before we vote? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None unanimous. We're all set. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
Maybe you could put us before that other.
That might be a good idea.
It might be.
can you commit to make it like only 10 minutes long?
The neighbors are friendlier.
Yeah, that's, no comment there. Okay, that gets us to our second regulatory hearing in the evening. It's only 9:14.
Plenty of time to go.
Plenty of time left. I mean,
We
heck.
won't start a new hearing if it's 10 o'clock?
Yeah, that used to be the rule, Dave, right?
Okay.
We're not quite there yet.
Only got one more.
All right, third up is we have a notice of intent. New England Power Company, K137E/L138/337, transmission line, rights of way. Allison Milliman from the BSC Group, Inc. was representing the applicant, and we also have a legal notice, which our vice chairman will now read into the record before we hear from Allison Milliman.
Mr. Chairman, are there any rules on how fast I read?
No.
All right, here we go.
I can only tell you, my personal experience was the later in the evening, and it's like the third or fourth time, I usually sped up rapidly on
All right, I got it.
legal notice, especially the kind of the legalese stuff.
Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, the Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing in Room 204 at the Chelmsford Town Offices, 50 Billerica Road, Tuesday, October 28th, 20 something.
There is a typo.
At 7, yeah, glad we got a lawyer on board. At 7:10 PM to consider the notice of intent filed by New England Power Company for proposed work within the bordering vegetative wetlands and associated 100-foot buffer, riverfront area as well, River Meadowbrook and Farley Brook, and bordering land subject to flooding, River Meadowbrook and Farley Brook. In the K137E/L138/337 transmission line right-of-way. The project entails general maintenance and improvement activities along the K-137E, L1, 138E, 337 transmission lines, including structure replacements, access improvements, and overhead work. The work is necessary to extend asset life and provide high-speed communication between substations.
So apologies for the incorrect date, but it does not validate this, it does not invalidate this proceeding.
Right.
That's good. That's good. All right, now we'll hear from the applicant. Allison.
Hi, good evening. My name's Allison Milliman. I'm with BSC Group. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, New England Power Company, to present this transmission maintenance project and upgrade project. The project is associated with a long linear transmission line we filed in 6 towns. So this project is about 16 miles in length. The project starts in Ayer, Massachusetts, and continues. Tewksbury is the northern part, as well as there's a leg that shoots down a spur on the transmission line in Billerica. So all 6 towns have been provided a filing. In this town, large majority of the work is exempt utility maintenance, and that's for the replacement of existing structures, placement of temporary construction matting, the overhead work. Why I'm here before you tonight is that there are access road improvements, work pad improvements that are necessary in order for the larger, more robust steel structures that they're replacing these towers with, in order for the cranes and the work there to install those new structures. Additionally, we do have some structures that are now going to be considered what they call concrete caisson. So that's a larger footprint that's typically necessary for those structures that need to be structurally engineered to. They usually take the brunt of the structural load from the overhead conductors. So those are usually at corners or what they consider dead ends. So they need to just kind of have a firmer base, a larger base. So the new steel structures and the larger concrete structures, although they're being replaced by, they're replacing existing structures, they are providing permanent impact to some of these resource areas. Specifically, we do have about 707 square feet of permanent fill bordering vegetated wetland. And to compensate for that, 707 square feet, sir. And to compensate for that, we've developed a wetland replication area of 2 to 1 to be put into the right-of-way to compensate for that loss. So we're looking at 1,414 square feet of replication of BVW. We also have some larger structures being installed within bordering land subject to flooding, and that's 64 square feet of permanent impact, which is based on the assumption that there's going to be about a 1-foot reveal that I confirmed to the engineering. We're looking at 64 cubic feet. And then we also have a proposed floodplain replication area provided in the package here to compensate for that loss within the right-of-way. Other impacts associated with the riverfront area, the 100-foot buffer zone, as well as your local setback or your local buffers. Mostly it's access road improvements, widening and upgrading the existing stone access roads out on the right-of-way, as well as I mentioned some work pad construction. So the plan for those is not to the company is planning to consider those being temporary features, which means they'll allow them to naturally revegetate over time. And if necessary, they will do some restoration work such as loaming and seeding in order to kind of get these areas back to the existing conditions on the right-of-way. If you are familiar with the right-of-way and kind of what it looks like, the company does go out and regularly maintain the vegetation, so it's pretty much managed in a low growth, herbaceous, and then that's what the goal is, to get it back to that kind of existing conditions after this work is completed. As far as schedule is concerned, that's always a question that comes up. There's some early work that the company has identified in Chelmsford. All this early work is more like, road refreshing, road building, work pad building, in order to get ahead of the larger, infrastructure work that's planned to happen next year. So some of this early work is potentially to start this summer and fall. Now, since we do have project activities proposed within Natural Heritage Endangered Species Program priority and estimated habitat, and we are currently working with our reviewer to finalize a conservation management plan because of work that we have in state-listed reptile habitat, and mostly it's because of just their major concerns, even though large majority of pretty much all the work in NHESP habitat is temporary in nature. We're pretty much just using matting for everything in those areas, but it's more of just a concern of being in that right of way and in the temporary or short-term impacts. So the early work will not happen within habitat because we're still working through the CMP process with Natural Heritage, but it will be in upland areas and in some areas subject to the jurisdiction by the commission. But the large brunt of the wetland work will not start until next year.
Okay, good. Thanks for the overview.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that. Let's start with Commission down here with John. John, any comments, questions at this point?
Well, I got your letter in the mail the other day. And I live,
About your meter?
no, about this job.
Isn't a butter.
I was gonna say, I can barely see the poles from where I live.
Yeah.
And I've lived here all my life.
Yep.
And I know that you do work out there all the time. I remember when they put the big green poles in years ago. So, this is something that's gonna happen no matter what, I have a feeling. That's what I'm looking at. You don't come from Sandy Pond to Tewksbury.
There's a public need.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And this is a formality. So I'm going with the formality issue. I've worked on plenty of New England Power jobs. So I'd be concerned what everybody else thinks. I know the water department might have something to say about it, because all the wells are right there, right behind my house, so.
Thanks, John.
Yeah,
That was pretty short.
Pretty short. Yeah.
short.
Thank you for keeping it short due to the late time.
I'm good, Chris.
Bill, he was
Yeah,
even
see,
shorter.
Bill, he kept it real short. I just want to fluff it up a little.
All right, Mark.
I don't know what means anything for the wells, but there's a lot of information here. My goodness.
300 pages.
You've read it all.
There's a lot
haven't
of
you?
Yeah, I was
information.
tired. Do we have any control over this, David? Is there a peer review that keeps this thing honest all the way through? I don't.
Well,
experience with
I guess my bottom line recommendation to the commission is to hire a peer review consultant to do a comprehensive review of the notice of intent. So you filed the same notice of intent with 6 towns, correct?
Yes, sir.
The exact same.
I mean,
notice of
not the
intent.
exact same notice of intent. All impacts are specific to what's, realized in your jurisdiction, in your town.
So obviously, the scope of the peer review would be just for what's happening in Chelmsford.
Yeah, Chelmsford only. Yeah.
That would be obvious, but nevertheless, I think it is such a large geographical extent. There's a lot of resource areas involved. That's my recommendation, to do hire a peer reviewer, do a comprehensive review of the NOI.
And they give information back to us.
Yes.
But how do we keep them honest? I don't know.
You have to watch what they're doing.
Well, it would also request recommendations for specific conditions to put in the order. Ultimately enforcing the order. That's something we should talk about.
Right, but
Yeah.
obviously you're not going to go out and do that, and you shouldn't have to.
Right. Like some of the larger commercial projects, yeah, certainly, there are, site compliance monitors that go out and look. I mean, I think that's certainly something the commission should
And that's
consider.
all on their dime.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely something we should.
Okay, as long as, it can be monitored and engineered. Okay, no, I'm good.
All right, good, Dave.
Purpose of the project is maintenance and improved distribution, or increased distribution?
It's a transmission line, so it's the higher voltage.
So that's to to provide more distribution of
It, yeah,
electricity?
it feeds electricity between two large substations.
So
When,
there's
and
no maintenance in it, per se? I mean, you're gonna do some maintenance, but the primary purpose is to provide more electricity.
they're not increasing the capacity or the voltage of the lines. They are basically replacing aged, antiquated infrastructure with, yeah.
How long is the project from start to finish over all the communities?
It's a long one. So I think they have to work around planned outages that they have scheduled with ISO New England, and they kind of manage when lines can be taken out of service, making sure that it doesn't result in any brownouts, blackouts, outage.
Are we talking 10 years?
But so they're going to start. They want to start this summer. So that's 2026, and I think all the restoration, everything should be buttoned up by 2032.
What role will natural heritage have in the species? Are they gonna be working with you that whole time period?
Yep, the applicant's, what we're preparing with the applicant is what's called a conservation management plan, and it basically is all the commitments that the company will make in order to basically offset the potential for a take during construction activities.
I don't know if I can do this, I would ask you to have someone in your firm connect with Zoo New England, because they have done significant work in this area for turtle populations, and they've done it with natural heritage as well.
We are going to be working with, that was one of the recommendations. We are going to be, I'm not sure if it's going to be Zoo New England. I think it's going to be a researcher from UMass.
Yeah, it could be. And the only last question I have is, I just remember the work that was done out off of River Neck Road by the power company, and the site was left in a disaster. And that was you guys made a real mess out there doing that work and left it in a terrible, and that can't happen here. So, that's all I have.
Thanks, Dave. Ally?
All set, thank you.
Good. Peter?
Yeah, given the past experience that Dave mentioned, I would strongly urge just a standard peer review to identify permit conditions that are reasonable to everybody, because, and make some recommendations on what critical areas might be worthy of some field inspections. We've done that. Mark, to your point, we've done, independent observer a couple of times in the last year or two. So, and not crazy. I'm not, just whatever's reasonable.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, David, anything more?
So just a couple of more things. So are you requesting any waivers under the local bylaw?
Yes, sir. We are requesting from the 50-foot and 35, or 30-foot and 25 local buffers, and it's because the structures they have to get to the structures and they're already there.
But it doesn't meet the definition of building.
No, but there are some, access
No, but our
roads.
50 foot. So it's
Well, it's
whatever
really
the
permanent structure, which I think this probably qualifies as.
Right. I mean,
No disturbance might be more apt
yes.
than 50-foot no building.
Okay.
However, there also is a provision in the local bylaw when something is for the public benefit.
Yes, that's right.
The commission can grant
It's all
waivers
over
to that.
regularly.
The only other thing, so you forwarded me a couple of letters from Natural Heritage. So one letter, and just want to make sure I understand it and the commission understands it. So one letter says that there's no problem in the commission's jurisdictional areas, like, wetland resource areas. But then there was the other letter that said that this project does constitute a take. And so there does have to be a conservation management permit. So does that mean that the take is only in upland areas outside the commission's jurisdiction? That's a little bit confusing.
It is confusing. I think those, the letters came in late last night, and I found some of the language very confusing from me too. Because we are working with a reviewer. We've been working with her for a couple years. I do need to ask these questions. I do need some clarification on some of the language in those letters.
Okay. So what I'm really getting at is that I think the standard process is that in this kind of situation, the commission can't issue an order of conditions until the conservation management permit is issued. Is that correct?
That has not been my experience in the past.
Okay.
So,
Well, I think I need to understand that a little bit
Okay.
better. So, which says if that's not the way it works, then the commission can issue an order of conditions while there's still, these other permitting, discussions and, deliberations going on, and that doesn't quite make much sense to me. So I definitely do need some clarification.
okay, understood. Yep, so do I. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and the important thing is they can do the work needed this summer. Right.
Yeah, but again, I don't know how that works from the standpoint of the commission's order of conditions. I mean, usually an order of conditions,
Right.
Authorizes the entirety of the project. I guess the commission could put something in there about, well, this is only for phase one or whatever. But, so, again, that's what I need to have a better understanding of.
Right. I mean, if the applicant went forward and did work, unauthorized work in natural heritage, it would be very bad.
I'm sure, but, the commission absolutely does want to do things right.
Yep. Okay. Next time we meet with her, I have questions, so I'll just make sure we all understand what the process is going to be.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. David, anything more?
I don't have anything at this
Good
time.
project.
Good. Any public input from the public? We do have two people in the public still out in the audience. No public
Don't think
input.
so.
They're still with us. Thank you.
Dozing
All right, so we need to have continuance of this hearing until our next meeting of April 28th.
Okay.
2026. I hear that we're going to be requesting, so I need a motion that we continue to our next meeting of the April 28th, as well as a condition of a peer review be performed.
Yeah,
When do
and
you
hopefully,
expect to start
we'll
work?
have that set.
This fall? When do you expect to start work?
I thought I heard this summer.
Summer.
This summer, so all of
yeah.
this stuff's gonna have to be done before you start work.
Yeah, they want to start August for the early work.
We'll do the best we can.
All right, so if we can have a
So-
motion then to.
So, yeah, I make a
Peter?
motion that our agent obtain a peer reviewer to identify the critical parts of this proposal that we ought to be paying attention
I think
to.
it's a comprehensive review of the NOI.
You want to do it that way?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's be specific, and recommendations for
Yes.
permit conditions.
Someone like
Yes.
Brian.
All right, you want me to say that again?
Yeah, repeat that one more time.
All right, so I make a motion that our agent obtain a peer review of the NOI.
Comprehensive peer review.
Comprehensive, thank you, peer review of the NOI, and make recommendations for appropriate permit conditions.
Second.
Okay, motion by Peter, seconded by Dave McLaughlin. Any discussion before we vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Unanimous. Okay, so we've got that. Now we just need a motion to continue to our next meeting of April 28th.
I move we continue the hearing until the 28th of April.
Second.
Again, motion by Peter, seconded by David McLaughlin. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks.
I'll see you in 2 weeks. I have a quick question for you. I think last time I presented to the commission, it must have been during COVID. I don't believe I've ever been to this building before. Do you have additional parking besides what's in the front?
It's the back down
In the
below.
back.
By the ball field, there's like another entrance coming in from Chelmsford Street.
Chelmsford Street? Okay,
Yeah.
can I take that one way down by the firehouse?
You can go
Yes.
down, but you can't come up.
Okay, but I can, okay, thank you.
One way.
I was a little stressed out today because
And
there was no
to
parking.
leave, you'd go out on Chelmsford
Chelmsford
Street.
Street.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
Where did you end up parking, though? Are you in the big lot in the back?
No, I parked in the front. I didn't know that there was
So
a
you come
back
down
lot.
Billerica Road.
Okay.
You go just past the town hall, past the
Okay.
fire station, then there's a left right there.
Yeah, that one way.
Yes, that takes you down to the back
Or
parking
you could
lot.
do that, or you just keep going to Wilson Street and go around the corner.
Yeah, I think it's easier to.
It's right, it's just behind this building.
Okay,
You'll
I'll
see
find
it.
it. Thank you. Thank you.
Glad you made it,
Thank
found
you.
parking.
That transmission line.
All right, so that takes us on to our next public hearing, which is a notice of intent continued from January 27, 2026, by New England Power Company with respect to 100 Ecuador Road. And we had Vanessa Hangen and Bruslin was representing the applicant. What's going on with that one?
So I'll be brief. There's still some back and forth going on between our peer reviewer and the applicant's engineer. Today, I authorized our peer reviewer to meet directly with them. Well, I mean, maybe a Zoom meeting, but, meet directly with them, to see if this can be resolved. So, I don't think, so that's what's gonna happen, they're gonna schedule that and hold that meeting. I don't know if the applicant, had the time to actually then request a continuance, but that's what's understood. So there needs to be a continuance voted to April 28th.
All right, so can I have a motion then to continue to April 28th?
So moved.
So moved by Dan McLaughlin, seconded by Peter. By Peter. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. So that takes us through our regulatory hearings, now at 9:36 p.m. Moving right along through the agenda.
Just to tell you, Chris, that
Yes, Dave?
Bischoff's watching tonight.
Really?
He must have used Zoom.
Who's watching?
Carl,
He's out there?
Oh, he is?
he sent me a text.
He didn't
No.
ask, he didn't ask to be admitted
Oh, well.
to the Zoom meeting.
Oh,
Maybe
he
just
jumped in,
assumed-
huh?
Maybe he just assumed I'd be here, but he sent me a text.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's funny. Okay, so let's see, any continuing business we need to talk about, David? No? All right, so we move into land management. So land management, let's see, we've got a lot of things going on out at Coulis. What's the update on the
All
sign?
right, first
out
of
there?
all, Oak Hill,
Oh, the Oak Hill, jump into that
the
one.
dam's
Okay.
gone,
The dam is gone.
gone. Both dams are gone.
Wonder
so-
why?
They removed it because they were worried about eroding the dump, the cover on the
So
old
the
dump.
Rod and Gun Club, they removed it?
No,
No, who removed
town
it?
did,
Town did.
yes.
Do we agree?
We gave permission.
Okay.
The beaver dam is eroding the toe of a closed landfill full of junk.
Exactly. So that was it for Oak Hill, but as far as Coulis, I don't know, if, a lot of things are going on out there. We had a little glitch with the granite sign, which is going back in tomorrow, all a brand-new sign.
And you proofread it?
I didn't.
Not yet?
He is petrified it's gonna happen again, aren't you?
That was an honest mistake.
There's a
And
UFQ,
I'll tell you,
you know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, using reputable people that the town works with, as soon as it was noticed, it was changed. There was no
You didn't have to fight over it.
no fight. It
That's
was,
good. That's
they wanted to do the right thing, and it'll be installed tomorrow. So
sure we
that'll
give
be
it
done
some more
tomorrow. Huh?
business.
We should, absolutely.
So,
And they've been really responsive, as I remember, over the last couple of years, right?
pardon me?
They've been very responsive.
Oh, yeah, they're a great company,
They're
yeah.
a great company to
Yeah,
work with.
great company. The other thing was the town, DPW is phenomenal. Those guys have completed the handicap walkway out to the field and put a pad for a handicap
You're
picnic
still, you're
table.
still at Coolest, right?
At Coolidge,
Yeah.
yeah. That's completed. Today, they hydroseeded the field and any disturbed areas are hydroseeded today. They're gonna come back after the fence is installed and the guardrail, that's gonna be done a week after next. After that's done, they're gonna pick up some rocks where the fence area is and hydroseed that area. And they're going to build a handicap parking area for a van and a car and install handicap signs. And they're gonna put grindings on the parking area, the whole parking lot. So the town's been phenomenal. The DPW's been great out there. And the volunteers were there last weekend too, pulling.
What are they spraying for seed? Vesicule, like putting in?
I'm not sure what the mix is,
Some kind of wild.
whatever they normally use.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
That's-
yeah,
that's
a lot of
bad.
things have been going on out there. David was out there a couple of weeks ago with me. I walked the fence line with him, just so there's another set of eyes on it, and showed him where that was going, showed him where at that point, the handicap trail wasn't completed. It's going good.
Keeping my okay.
It's going good. So, I haven't done any work out there, but the town,
Sounds like you
DPW
did
has
it all
done.
yourself.
No, they've done everything out there. They removed all the rocks from the field. They took them out in dump truck loads yesterday. All those rocks are gone.
Everything burnt out there?
Everything's burnt out
Great,
there.
Great.
No, it looks good, so.
Good.
Right?
Good job,
Yep.
Bill.
No, it's coming out good.
And the fence is going in, the fence is going in next week?
Huh?
The fence is going in next week, you
Week
said?
after next.
Week after next.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Anybody else, land management? Any issues, problems, anything you want to talk
I have
about?
I won't tell it. One question on Russell Mill, when the guy from Denver was here talking. They undertook a project for us 5, 6 years ago to put markers at all the major intersections that actually were numbered and color-coded. And they were gonna deliver those to the fire department so that if somebody was ever hurt out there, they'd know their approximate location, the fire department could get to them. I don't know if that project was ever finished. Denver bought the markers themselves. They spent a couple of grand.
I believe the markers are there, at least when you walk through there, right,
Because
John?
we
You
should
see
also
markers.
have them on our webpage. If the project's done, the fire department should have where the markers are,
Yeah.
and we should know where they are for our map.
What do you think, Peter? You've been out there, right?
There are markers installed,
It's-
there's a lot of markers,
well,
but there's no
then
key.
maybe that part of it's not.
Yeah, or I'm not
Right.
sure about the fire department knowing how to,
Well,
that's a good point.
Donahue is involved in it, and he's retired, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So maybe they dropped the ball, I don't know.
I don't know, maybe it's, yeah, so
Good.
we should follow up.
Yeah, maybe we can follow up.
Chris, I got one more thing.
Yeah.
Go back to Coolis, with that handicap area built, it needs a handicap picnic table. So
Oh, yeah.
I need some, they're pretty pricey for one that's gonna last. They're in the $2,000 range. So I wanted to see if the board could approve some money, if we have it, to spend on a picnic table and.
Among a couple of sources, yeah.
Are they chained to the ground so nobody can
It's so
steal them?
heavy. Joe Erickson from DPW researched it with the rec people in the town, and they sent me a picture of one that they thought would be a good table for out there. It's very heavy pipe. I mean, to move it out of there, it takes 6 guys to get it out of there. So, it'd be up to them if they want to secure it to the ground, the DPW.
And
I don't want to damage the handicap area that they've done.
And they'd put it in place?
Yeah.
They'd
Yeah.
install it?
Yeah, so,
So
if I could get
It's
the
just a
okay
it's just a regular picnic table.
It's a handicap.
But is it, so the seating is different?
Yes, you can drive underneath.
Good.
Your wheelchair into the table. So, I'd just like to get an okay to.
We got
work
money in
with
the
David.
budget?
Yeah, I think not only the annual appropriation budget, but also the land maintenance fund. You know, I think actually we should work on spending down.
I move we authorize an amount not to exceed
How much, 2,000, you say?
2,500?
Say 25 and we'll do it as, we're not gonna spend 25.
Right,
but-
but you don't wanna come back
I
for
don't wanna come
another
back.
$100.
I don't wanna, and I'll work with David on that and Joe Erickson from.
Yeah, if they can put in the purchase order.
Yeah.
And just then send me the invoice, that would
Okay.
be the easiest
Yeah.
from our perspective.
Yep.
They could do that.
All right, so we'll work on that because
Okay.
we've got a beautiful thing that they've built. We need to finish it off.
Okay, yeah.
So motion by Dave McLaughlin, not to exceed $2,500 for the special picnic table.
Second?
Seconded by Peter. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Unanimous. Thanks, Bill, for
Thank
bringing
you,
that up.
thank you, thank you.
Any other land management
Just-
topics?
just one
Yeah.
other,
Oh, yeah,
so-
yeah, we've got one, right? The dog,
Well, yeah, I'll get to that, but
And
even
that's coming up
before
too.
that, so Carl was the commission's contact for 3, reservations. That was Cranberry Bog, Warren Pole, and what was the other one? I don't remember, but now that he's gone, he needs to be replaced. Now, Peter, I think you've taken over Warren Pole, right?
I think he did the Cranberry Bog too, or didn't he?
Oh, you're taking over Cranberry Bog?
Didn't he do the Cranberry Bog?
Carl did Cranberry
Yeah,
Bog.
Carl did, yeah.
He did Cranberry Bog, Warren Pole, and I forget what the other one was, but he had 3. And you have 3 right now, Bill.
Right.
So I think 3, if that seems to be the maximum amount. So you have 2 already, If you take over Cranberry Bog, that'll be 3, or, we don't have to make this decision right now, but.
Yeah, let's think about it.
But I'll send out the reservations that Carl had, and if you could
Yeah.
let me know which ones now you want to take over.
Yeah, let's think about that. And one thing I might mention is everybody thinks about what they want to do. Our open space and rec plan that was approved by the select board and the state calls for us to create what's called land management plans for each parcel, and Carl actually did that. And he sent me the copies. So that, to me, that's one of the tasks that we probably ought to do.
They don't have to be,
They don't have to, pardon?
they don't have to be extremely specific.
They're like
And
one
they're not.
page.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So my hope is that, we could start looking at those over the next year. I've got one with Warren Pohl I'm working on with Steve Mayotte and David.
Well, and that one will probably change once the CR is.
Right, but they're fairly simple. So that would be a task for whoever's keeping an eye on these properties. They're already drafted, they just need to be finalized.
Okay, so I'll send out an email. So just on the problem about the dog poop being left on reservations, a lot's actually happened since then. So I got a call from Christine Clancy at DPW. I don't know if she had seen the meeting or not, but she said she had taken her daughters up to Southwell, and she said it was just awful. She said
Southwell Park?
Yeah, she said you could not walk. You literally, it was just that bad. She said
People have a lot more dogs today, or what?
well, I think so, but I think it's also the winter.
Yes,
the
that'll
really
all-
snowy
yeah.
winter that contributed. But she I had a long telephone conversation with her. She reached out. She Googled companies that address this problem. She reached out to one local company. We had a Zoom meeting with, I think it was the owner, and what was decided was that we do a pilot project here.
It's a real problem.
What's that?
It's a real problem.
It is. So we, this person for this company is going to submit a proposal, a pilot proposal, focusing for now just on 3 properties. One being Southwell, I think another being Lime Quarry, because that's where.
Yeah, that's been really bad.
And then Warren Pohl as well, because Carl said that was bad.
Yeah.
If it works, they can hook up with the dog park, too. It's
Yep,
a separate,
yep.
it's a separate entity. but-
And then, so that I think, we haven't completely decided yet whether that's just gonna be for an initial cleanup, followed by then, monitoring every couple of weeks and addressing it as necessary.
Don't have
I
a
can see
compost
that may very well be within the scope of the proposal. But anyway, so, Christine has a good feel for Southwell Park. But what I need is if commission members could walk Lime Quarry and Warren Pohl, so that we can have a better understanding of the scope. Is the problem focused just at the trailhead, or is it throughout the trail system? I think we really need to have a better understanding of that for the scope of this proposal. So if members could do that and let me know how bad it is.
And if I could just throw out, we'll talk offline, but I don't see that much at Warren Pohl. I see a ton at Russell Mill.
Okay.
Of not just uncleaned work, but unclean poop, but baggies all
Well,
over
if you
the
think
place.
Russell Mill is worse, we can certainly.
Well, remember, you got a lot of people playing soccer, so you got different groups showing up, too.
Yeah,
But
well, you can decide.
Maybe we do want to focus on that one instead. So.
Well, Russell Mill, you should recruit the soccer association, because they're responsible for the parking lots.
Oh.
Yeah, but
Okay,
it's
that's
on the,
fine.
it's on the,
No,
it's
I
along the
understand.
trails.
I understand.
It's along the trails too, Dave.
No, I understand.
Yeah, it's not just the trailhead.
So if consensus is that for Russell Mill and Lime Quarry, if it's the whole trail system, then we can just forward the trail maps for those parcels to this company.
Yeah,
Right.
Russell Mill's big though.
Well, right, so,
It's a lot of work.
well, then that's just gonna be a more expensive cost, but that's what I'd like to narrow down as best we can.
The help of NIMBA. I don't know what they can do.
Yeah, and then the other thing, David, if I could ask, I did a deep dive on what other communities are doing. And from what I've learned is not much of this works unless you're willing to do enforcement, meaning, you know, tickets, but how do you do tickets? You're gonna have somebody standing there watching? So that's that's why
Well-
it's hard.
Well, it may be the town will just have to spend some money on this, you know, like have an
Well-
annual appropriation.
A lot of it's education, Peter. You gotta educate the public, you're right. When people pick up after the dogs and put it in a baggie, and then leave the baggie and don't take it home, that's education, right?
Education.
Yeah.
I think David's right.
Yeah,
But if there's no receptacle there to put the baggies, you know.
They
That's a
can put it
problem.
in the back seat of the car, they're gonna drive 10 minutes.
no, the receptacle is also considered best practice.
We've had terrible luck with
I know,
receptacles.
that's why we have a problem,
Yeah.
why it's a problem.
Used to collect a lot of TVs there.
Okay, so if, again, members
Alright.
could do that and let me know, I'd appreciate it.
All right, so we'll just do
Sure.
that and follow up with David.
Yes. Moving on to the next item, so you call it, there are two enforcement orders. The first one was 233 Mill Road, and I spoke to Chris about that this afternoon, and at that time, I told him that I hadn't heard a peep out of that one. That they required, the enforcement order required a wall removal sequence, you know, by April 1st. Hadn't received that. I sent him an email reminding him, and hadn't heard anything. But lo and behold, at 4:43 p.m., I got an email. Hi, David. I'm sorry for the late response. We will meet with the masonry crew at the site this week and discuss a way to remove the wall from the 25 feet buffer zone to start immediately. We will just need to brainstorm this a bit since no heavy machinery is to be used. Also, would a small mini excavator be allowed for the removal? So, would it be?
I think that's okay.
A small mini excavator?
You know, small.
How heavy are the blocks? I don't know.
Well, they look like they're.
Well, they gotta remove the dirt they put up against the blocks too.
I think they're standard sized blocks, which
Yeah.
would be, you know,
But there's dirt up against the blocks.
But, right, but remember
Remove
there's,
the block, remove the dirt.
but there's also those concrete sonotubes that you were
Right,
wondering why.
right.
I don't know how deep those are. Concrete filled.
They'll need a machine.
I think they're
Yeah.
gonna need a machine.
Did they have that marked out, Dave?
have what marked out?
They have it marked out, how far they gotta move it? Did they have
Well,
somebody come in and do that?
They're saying that they're going to remove it, they're going to store them, they're gonna store the material away from the 25-foot buffer zone until a permit is approved. But I think the enforcement order requires that it be removed, maybe off-site. Let me double check that.
Yeah, I think you're right, David.
Quickly.
Build a wall.
Yeah, they did.
Back?
We wanted them to clean it up first before we told them to give them a go-ahead to keep on building.
It's a big house.
So,
They're just going outside the 25 foot, right?
Yeah.
with a wall, yes.
With the wall.
They gotta pull it all back, then they.
Yeah, just pull that one corner.
Yeah.
So it says,
Be
no later
surprised
than
that-
April 1st, 2026, submit to the agent for approval a detailed written chronological wall removal sequence for removal of the retaining wall from the 25-foot buffer zone. No heavy equipment shall be used for removal of the retaining wall. No further work is permitted in the 100-foot buffer zone prior to the agent's approval of the wall removal sequence. So there is no requirement for, you know, removing it, you know, the blocks from the buffer zone or whatever. I think probably what they're hoping is that they can then reuse those for the new wall when that gets approved. So is it okay with the commission that they store, you know, the removed blocks, you know, as long as it's more than 25 feet?
Yeah, as long as it's outside the buffer zone.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I can certainly have them mark that, mark the 25 foot.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have to do
That's
that
fine.
anyway. So is the mini excavator, is that?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay, so I'll tell them that's acceptable, and just tell them to get me that plan as soon as they can, so.
Yeah.
So then the next one, I forwarded a copy of the EO to the commission. There's just a huge amount of junk, slash, and debris that's in the wetlands and buffer zone right next to UPS. There's little doubt that most of it's from the employees just throwing stuff when, they get out of their car, they have a morning coffee or something. Although some of it, I think, does look like it's been dumped there. It looks like maybe there's also some partying that's going on there. I think it's really, a very good example of what happens when you allow large parking lots right next to wetlands. So Mark of the Health Department and I met with an official there at UPS. And he was very, very cooperative, said, sorry about this, we'll definitely address them. So, I did, the enforcement order requires that it be, I think it was removed by May 6th. I can double check that. Because at that time when we were out there, we saw some snow that, a lot of this stuff was all mixed up with. So, but then when I emailed him the enforcement order, I asked him to reply to confirm receipt, and I haven't heard from him, but I'll call him, make sure he got it, and that they're working diligently on removing the stuff. So,
Good.
He was very cooperative, very, very agreeable.
Checking with legal counsel.
When you were driving up to that parking lot, this is the one you drive in, it's all the way to the left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you notice a pile of building construction material there that was right behind the guardrails? That was up there right after you mentioned that in one of your emails, and there was a pile there.
Yeah. I'm expecting that will be removed.
Okay.
As well.
Okay.
I'll make sure that it is. Now he did tell me that they used to do a cleanup operation a couple times a year, and for some reason, I guess the last couple of years, it didn't happen. He didn't say why. Maybe he doesn't know why.
Budget.
Change in leadership.
Could be. So hopefully this won't happen again.
Good. Good status, thank you.
So that's all I have for tonight.
Great, thanks, David.
10 o'clock, you did it good.
10 o'clock, here we go, 10 o'clock, look at that.
Good job.
Anything else tonight before
It's nice
we
to have Dave
adjourn?
back, McLaughlin.
It's great, just like you, we're never
Like
gone.
you never left.
Never left.
Is that good or bad?
It's good.
I don't know.
It's
It's all
bad.
good. It's all good.
I've missed talking about willow trees.
About trucks and stuff, remember truck talk?
Tractor talk.
Tractor talk,
Tractor
tractor
talk.
talk, too, yeah.
You want a motion to adjourn?
Yes, a motion to adjourn,
I
please.
move we adjourn the conservation.
Second.
Okay, motion by Dave, second by Ally, all those in favor, aye, any opposed, unanimous. Thank you very much, and good night, everyone, have a nice night.